and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. Feedthepig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get her ass!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was. November. You like that, Speedy? 16th, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Call us at 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to follow all the different local listings on our network is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You're not back from Boston. You're here. You've been in the studio twice this week, Speedy, but it seems like you're flying somewhere else.
No, I'm not flying anywhere else.
Are you going to Carolina?
Carolina?
Yeah, isn't that where one of your brothers are going?
No.
How about your mother? Is she going
No.
to Carolina? Is she taking a ship over there? A ferry? Yeah.
You have to take a ship from here to North Carolina? I didn't know
Why
if they had
not?
those specific things. I guess maybe they
I
do,
mean, the
but-
Titanic,
I mean, if we found there are residue found on the Titanic. I guess it's possible, but I don't know how physically I don't know how physically able it'd be to be able to get that far.
Hold on one second. You don't think a ship can go all the way to Carolina?
No. A ship definitely can. The destruction residue of the Titanic.
I just
probably
mentioned
won't.
the Titanic. I don't mean the Titanic.
Oh yeah, a ship definitely could. I'm not disputing
No,
that.
well, so
I
what's
don't
the
think
question
any of
here?
them. I don't think any of them are taking a ship from wherever they are to North Carolina.
Your mom's going to an event. Isn't that what you told me?
No.
Yes, it's a fun family event, and you're going to meet her there in Carolina. You're going to take a train, right?
No.
So
maybe you're thinking of someone else's family. I don't know. Maybe you were talking to Eric Martini.
Well, Eric's afraid of flying. He's afraid of boats. So he would have to drive to Carolina
Or
and
train.
He doesn't like to take long car rides. So I don't think Eric's going anywhere. I think he's going to stay here in New York forever. This is where he's going to be. As a matter of fact, my friend Eric actually tried to tell me and sell me that he was moving down to Tampa, I think a year ago. And then
he's going to go visit Carl? Nice.
Well, he realized that when he looked at the prices of the houses over there, that they're too expensive.
Maybe he realized that Jeff was from there and didn't go.
Him and his wife thought it was cheaper and it would be better to move down there because the weather is much better throughout the year. And then he realized that going down there, one, you're not going to make as much money over there as a nurse. And the houses and the housing over there is just as expensive as it is where he lives in Smithtown. So it wouldn't make any sense when he has $1 million house over here with his wife.
Man,
so
maybe he doesn't want to go see Jeff.
Well, that's probably true too, but who knows? We have a great show lined up for you guys at 8:30. We will be talking to former Jets running back, our friend. He's been on our show before. Finally, his return, Bilal Powell, played in 2011 to 2019. One of the more fun running backs for the New York Jets. I was a big fan of his. I have his jersey, and I'm looking forward to having him on again in a little bit. In a little while. At 9 o'clock, we will be talking to Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster Oscar Budejen. He'll be joining us again on our show. We haven't spoken to him since the Super Bowl. So we will have him on the show a little bit later in the show as well. Brian Cashman takes shots at Giancarlo Stanton. Injury history, and Stanton's agent fires back. We will get into that. The Braves and the Blue Jays and the Cubs are the latest sleepers to land the great and MVP Shohei Ohtani. By the way, I have a lot to say about this. I don't know how Shohei Ohtani wins the MVP again. He missed how many games this year? And yes, he was a DH.
Last month and a half as a pitcher, and then I think as a pitcher, and then the last half a season as a hitter.
I mean, that's a lot. That's significant. How does he win the MVP? So we will get into that. That just tells you what the baseball writers are all about. Thank you, Spader, for giving us your true reaction to that. Reports say that Connor McDavid is frustrated, and he is questioning the direction of the Oilers moving forward. We didn't get into that story, so we'll get into that a little bit later. ESPN reports that the Cardinals could keep Kyler Murray after this season. Draymond Green suspended after yesterday, after we heard it during the show, 5 games for choking Rudy Gobert. MLB awards announced. Let's parlay, ladies and gentlemen, and week 11 in NFL picks. Anthony is calling the show, and I can't put him on. So tell Anthony, I'm going to tell Anthony to call us on the network line. But let's get into it, because I think that you sit back and you relax and you enjoy the show, and you wonder, what is Brian Cashman thinking? That's where I'm going. And I don't understand it right now, because Brian Cashman's all over the place, and it doesn't make any sense. Brian Cashman said about Giancarlo Stanton, he is injury prone. We all have lived that, and he knows that. Cashman also added he's going to wind up getting hurt again, more likely than not, because it seems to be part of his game. Stanton's agent, Joel Wolf, responds to Cashman saying, I think it's a good reminder for all free agents to consider signing in New York, both foreign and domestic, that to play for that team, you've got to be made of Teflon. Stanton has 4 years left on his contract and will make $32 million each of the next 2 seasons. Stanton has a 191 batting average, a 275 on base percentage, 24 home runs, 60 RBIs last season. Stanton has played in over 100 games in each of his last 3 seasons with the New York Yankees. All right. I'm going to be very kind about this for Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman over the past week and a half is all over the place. This is a man that never lashes out. I have never heard Brian Cashman ever lash out for years. And he's been with the Yankees organization for over 30 years. He was an assistant GM, and he's been a GM for the New York Yankees for over, I think, 27, 26 years. Okay? It's crazy. He's been around forever. When you hear Brian Cashman lash out on the players, by the way, he traded for, he signed, it only tells me that Brian Cashman is on his way out. And Brian Cashman is trying to protect himself because he doesn't want to be the blame of this absolute downfall of the New York Yankees. The Yankees organization is now 13 years in the hole winning a championship. The last time they won was 2009. You're going in to a 14-year season where you haven't won a World Series. You sit back and you wonder where Brian Cashman's head is at. And it only tells me one thing. It tells me he doesn't know where this team is going. And where this team is heading looks like to a downfall. If you remember in the 1980s, from really 81 to 94 or 93, the Yankees were not a playoff team. As a matter of fact, they won more games than any team in the majors in the 80s, but never could get over the hump and win a championship. I think they won one in 80. It was 80, I think.
81, they lost to the Dodgers.
Right, but 80, I think they won. Didn't they win two championships?
I think it was the late 70s was the last time they won before.
They won with Reggie Jackson.
Right.
They won two of them.
Yeah.
So, fine. But after 80, 81, they didn't make the playoffs. They were on a downfall. They traded Roberto Kelly. They had all these guys. If you remember those teams, the Randy Velardis, you talk about the Steve Saxes, all these different players, the Mike Stantons. I'm talking about the catcher and all the different pieces that they've added over the years. And none of these pitching prospects and all the different players that they brought in from their farm system, they never amount to anything. And it took almost 14 years for this team to bring up a guy like Bernie Williams and then Derek Jeter and then Jorge Posada and Mariano Rivera and Andy Pettitte. It took them years to develop top-end prospects in their farm system. And when everything started to develop, you brought in a Buck Showalter, you had him there for a couple of years, and then you moved on, you bring in a Joe Torre, and then you became a successful winning organization. But this isn't the old Yankees. This isn't the George Steinbrenner years. This is the Hal Steinbrenner years. And Hal Steinbrenner does not like to spend over the luxury tax. And I know Hal said after the season ended that he is willing to spend money this offseason, but how much money? And you look at the Yankees and the position that they're in, the Mets had the highest payroll in the league. And who had the second highest payroll in all of Major League Baseball? The New York Yankees. You have a player like Giancarlo Stanton that's making $32 million for the next 2 seasons. The Yankees are stuck with this contract because he has a no-trade clause, and he only wants to be traded to the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers are not going to be interested in him because they're interested in Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if they're going to get him. We've heard stories that the Braves are a team that is maybe a lead to get him. We've also heard other teams that might be interested in landing Shohei Ohtani. So you sit back and you wonder, why did Brian Cashman do this? Why did he lash out? And why is he lashing out after all these years? And the only thing that could honestly sell me on why he's doing this is because he knows he's on his way out. He knows this is his last year. Win or lose, Brian Cashman is probably done. He's leaving. And I don't know if he's retiring. Maybe the Yankees give him an executive position. He's no longer going to be the GM of the organization. Maybe he decides to go somewhere else and rebuild an organization in the American League or National League. So I don't know what his plan is, but it obviously isn't with the New York Yankees.
Yeah, file this under things that are unnecessary to say. Yes, you could point out the fact that he has an injury history, and you could prepare for that kind of thing. There's a reason they could trade for all these extra outfielders if you're worried about that kind of thing. There's a reason that he's playing a lot more DH than usual. That's fine to do that when you know he has an injury history. You don't need to take shots at him and get his agent triggered and say, all right, now free agents are not going to want to come to New York because that's how you're going to treat them. And you look at some of the Yankees injury-prone free agents in the past too, most notably Jacoby Ellsbury, but also some of the guys they signed for that 09 team were very injury-prone later on in their careers too, between Teixeira and A-Rod and guys like that. And that kind of thing is going to come with a lot of these star players anyway. If baseball players get hurt, it's a long season. There's a reason the players union wanted to shorten the season. They didn't want to shorten it as much as the owners did, but there's a reason that these players are trying to be much more protected as a whole now too. And Giancarlo Stanton had that kind of thing coming with Miami, and because the price was so low, the Yankees could not pass up that kind of thing. Derek Jeter obviously trading him with the Yankees, and it makes sense for that kind of thing. It's not something you need to say publicly and try to derail other guys from coming there. Juan Soto is interested in going to the Yankees. These other free agents, Yamamoto, interested in going to the Yankees. Why are you trying to make it harder for that kind of thing to happen where you can develop a bad relationship with somebody like Cashman?
And here's another thing. I know a lot of Yankee fans are probably wanting to push Brian Cashman out. They've wanted to push Brian Cashman out for the last 3 years. If you haven't read all over social media and Twitter and all the different avenues that you have read, bloggers for the Yankees, the team and team bloggers that have put out stories about Brian Cashman, you wonder why it's taking this long for the Yankees to part ways with Brian Cashman. I've loved Brian Cashman. I still think he's amongst the league's best GMs in all of baseball, but he's weighed out his welcome. He's been here so long. I understand that George Steinbrenner is the one that brought him here to the organization, gave him the GM job. And George, this is the last gift that George Steinbrenner gave to the Yankee fan. And you could say whatever you want. You don't want to call him a gift. That's fine. But this is a guy that was a big part of this Yankee success. And you could say whatever you want. He was. He built these teams over the years that were competitive and championship oriented. Now you look at the team over the last, I would say 10 years, there's a lot of questions. They're an older team. A lot of these youngsters have not panned out well. Severino has been fighting injury after injury. They haven't really found a pitching prospect in their farm system, a starting pitching prospect, that's for sure. It looks like maybe King could be that guy, Michael King, but we'll see how that transitions as a starting pitcher. And then you look at their bats. Aaron Judge is a sensational player. He's one of the biggest and strongest players we've ever seen in baseball. But the guy has been fighting injury after injury. Now you gave him a 9-year deal worth about $360 million, and he will be a Yankee for life. And he's now another Yankee captain, and a successful captain to be exact. And he's very well respected around the league. But then you bring in this kid Volpe. He wins the Gold Glove, but we have to see how consistent he's going to be year in and year out. Derek Jeter was a consistent player. He wasn't a Gold Glove. He wasn't the best defensive player at his position, but he was consistent. And also, he hit in the clutch. We have to see if Volpe can do that. I mean, Volpe was hitting 200 all season. So there's a lot of questions with some of the youngsters that the Yankees have. Dominguez, everybody called him the alien. He looked like he was going to be pretty good, and then he gets hurt after what? 12, 13 games in the major leagues, and now he's out for the full season. He might not play next year because of a UCL, and he had to have surgery. So there's a lot of questions about the Yankees, and who are they going to point at? They're going to point at the GM, the guy that is drafting these guys, the guy that's signing these guys, and you sit back and you wonder where this Yankee team is, where the youth of this Yankee organization is going.
And you look at that kind of thing, too, with all the players that have gotten hurt for the Yankees. And that's what makes singling out Stanton specifically even worse, because all these guys that Brian Cashman made trades for, too. James Paxton, which I liked at the time in 2018 from Seattle, and Frankie Montas recently as well. All these guys that they've brought in on these trade deals or free agent older pitchers have gotten hurt. Obviously, Rodon this year got hurt, and the Yankees really mismanaged that, too. And that has to go with their injury scouts and their doctors, their team medical staff. Like, why are they not getting thrown under the bus? But no, just individually, Giancarlo Stanton has to, because, okay, he has an injury history. Yes, we know that. Why don't you actually try to manage the injury history, which I think Aaron Boone did do better at certain years, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be happening all the time. But nevertheless, you guys have injury-prone players. Clearly, that's something that has to do with the training staff or the types of players you bring in, which loops back to Brian Cashman.
And here's another thing. Frankie Montas, they bring him in. They make the trade. They trade up 3 pitching prospects from their organization. They haven't panned out over there but in Oakland. But nevertheless, everybody thought that Frankie Montas was going to be here for the long haul. He has a hurt shoulder. The Yankees didn't really didn't look at his background, his shoulder, and everything, the injury that he has had over the past 6 months. The Yankees didn't know. They made the trade. And how many games did he pitch? 2 or 3 games before he was out for the season. He had shoulder inflammation. So Now you look at the Yankees. The Yankees look like a stupid organization because they made that trade. They gave up 3 top pitching prospects in their farm system, one of them in the top 5, even though they haven't panned out. Nevertheless, you gave up those prospects for a guy that wasn't 100% healthy.
And they also mismanaged that kind of thing, too. Because remember, Montez was supposed to come back after the All-Star break, too. And he had a bunch of setbacks after that. Same kind of thing with Rodon. Like, every time it seemed like he was going to come back, he didn't. He had a back injury after the initial injury with the arm. And he took him forever to come back after that, too. So clearly, there's something wrong with the process of the way the Yankees are bringing these players back from injury, too. Obviously, I've criticized the Mets for that for years, especially with the pitching. They do it the worst. But the Yankees have done it really bad too. And that, again, goes back to the front office and the executives. And that means you cannot singly throw Giancarlo Stanton under the bus as being the only player.
How about Rodon? They brought Rodon in. I still think he's a great pitcher. I know a lot of people were attacking the Yankees for bringing him in. It was a great contract, but nobody knew that Rodon wasn't 100% healthy. That was another mistake that the Yankees made. You give a guy 6 years and what,
$127 million
$127 million or whatever it is, $130 million contract, and you don't even know if he was 100% healthy. And now you have him for 5 years. I think he'll be fine next year. But you went into a season with a guy that wasn't 100% healthy.
Yeah, and maybe that's why his price dropped too, because we were thinking he was going to get at least $30 million a year too, and he only ended up getting 27.
Look what they did with Severino.
Right.
They gave him a 4-year deal, and then all of a sudden the shoulder injury popped out of nowhere, and he was out for 2 years. And then he had Tommy John. So how many years did he play for the 4 years, the extension that they gave him?
Yeah.
He played 1 year, and he wasn't that good. So why would you bring Luis Severino back? And if the Yankees do that, they're a really stupid organization. So, but again, the Yankees have made mistakes. Just because they're a great organization and they've won so many championships and everybody wants to say, oh, they won 27 World Series. So who cares if they go in a drought of 15, 14, 20 years? I mean, the Mets have been, what, a 30-year drought? So, yeah. But we're not comparing the Mets to the Yankees. The Yankees are always the team that everybody's trying to strike for. And now the Yankees are starting to even out. And now there are teams that are growing. There are teams that are out there that you can wonder, and you still wonder if the Yankees are ever going to get back to the top, because you look at the prospects and you look at some of the players that they have now in their farm system, nothing really stands out moving forward. You have other teams and other organizations that are at top of their game. Look at the Dodgers. Look at their farm system right now. They're one of the best teams in the league, have so much talent, but their farm system is one of the top 3, top 4 in baseball. Look at the Braves. Look at their farm system. They have some of the best young players in the league and one of the top teams in baseball. Look at where their farm system is, in the top 5. We could go over and over and over and over and over again. Look at Houston. Houston's one of the best teams in the league with some of the best young talent in the league. And you would think that they're running out of talent in their farm system. No, they're in the top 10 right now in baseball. So you sit back and there's no excuses for the Yankees. There's no excuse for Brian Cashman. When you have so much background, you have so much money behind you, and you're the New York Yankees, there is no excuse of the complete disaster the Yankees have been over the last couple of years.
And Carl also mentions Aaron Judge, too, missing 45 games this year as well.
100%.
And then again, that's the risk you run of giving him a 9-year contract, too. So the process that the Yankees have been going through with these players that have injury histories are certainly a little eerie right now. And that's why, Brian Cashman, it's not just Giancarlo Stanton. There are other players on your team that have that same
100%. And now, who do we have on the phone? Jeff, what's up, bud?
Good evening, Speedy. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm just a little tired, but okay.
Congratulations to Shohei for his second unanimous MVP. That's pretty terrific.
I don't know how you give him the unanimous decision when he missed so much time. So that doesn't make any sense.
He hardly missed any time.
Really?
Because even when he got hurt as a pitcher, he was still a DH until the Angels were out of the
Speedy, how many games did he play? How many games did he play? I want you to look at the number and how many games he played. I don't want that time.
135.
He played 135 games, and there's 162 games. Okay, so and then there are other players. There are other players. Go ahead.
But he took off. But all of those games that were missed were at the end of the season when they were out of the race for the playoffs. Because even when he hurt his arm, he still kept hitting. He missed 20 games. Big deal. He missed 20 games because a lot of those games that he missed, you're going to miss like a game here or there throughout the season just due to rest.
He wins those MVPs because, ladies and gentlemen, he's a pitcher and he's a hitter. That's the reason why he won. And if he's not pitching in as many games as he did over the years that he won the MVP, why should he win the MVP again?
Now, Corey Seager was also a finalist and played 119 games. Now, Simeon was the other one. He played every game. He actually played every game in the postseason and the regular season.
His numbers pale in comparison to Ohtani's.
No, I get that, but yeah.
This was a really bad year when it came to hitting, too. I don't know what happened.
I'm confused on how you can call Aaron Judge a successful captain for the Yankees.
Why isn't he a successful captain?
How are any of the Yankees' problems Aaron Judge this year?
How is he anything but a bust?
How is he a bust?
How is he the problem with the Yankees
Well,
this year?
I'm going by Earl logic, and he hasn't won anything, so he's a bust.
He's never won an MVP?
There's a lot more that goes.
He's never won an MVP?
That doesn't.
What did Shohei Ohtani win? What did Shohei Ohtani win? Oh, he's the greatest. He's the greatest. What has he done? How many playoff series has he won? How many playoff series has he won? How many playoff series has he won, Jeff?
You have to go back to Earl logic. If you haven't won a championship,
that's not my name. That's not my name, Jeff. Call me by my real name. Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. You love to talk about Shohei Ohtani. What has Shohei Ohtani done since he's come in the league? Oh, you're going to say MVPs. Okay, and I just said Aaron Judge won an MVP. He should have won 2. He got robbed on that. He got robbed.
He did not.
Oh, yes, he did. You're going to tell me. You're going to tell me how Tuve? You're going to tell me how Tuve should have won the MVP his rookie season?
No, he cheated.
Aaron Judge is a pussy. That's the other thing.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, that's what it is.
Altuve was on a team that cheated.
And what are you, Jeff?
I got to miss half the season my toe. Yeah, Ohtani had his arm fall off and still was out there swinging with one arm. That's a man.
Oh, that's a man. That's a man. And what has he won? Nothing. And you have nothing to say. He's won nothing. How many playoff games has he won, by the way? How many? 0. Yeah. 0. How many playoff games did he play in? Oh my God. 0.
But you're also forgetting, right? Like Judge was the cause of his team losing a series. I mean, how can you walk through
he was the only reason.
That's it. It's Aaron Judge's fault.
How can you walk through Fenway Park playing that song and don't think that you're giving the other team bulletin board material? Let's be honest now.
There we go. He wants to go into the Boston world. That's where we're going.
I didn't. I was bringing up the Yankees and something he did as a Yankee.
How could you say he's not been a successful captain for the New York Yankees? If you look at the Yankees record when he is not in the lineup, they stink. When he is in the lineup, it's a winning record. They're above 500.
There's no doubt he's a very good player and he's a catalyst for that. But also, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
He hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
Did they beat the Red Sox in the wild card game?
He hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
Okay, but again, Jeff, since Aaron Judge was named the Yankees captain, has he been the issue with the Yankees as a team? I think most of the issues, like Errol was saying before, are the bad contracts that they had on the team.
Right, but
Josh Donaldson being the worst of them.
But Speedy, here's the problem with this whole thing: is the Yankees' measuring stick is championships. It has always been championships. It's about winning. They're the New York Yankees. They are the most storied franchise in all of baseball. There is no doubt about that. And now Yankees fans want to give you like, oh, but he won an MVP, and but they win 90 games and don't make the playoffs, and it's all these other excuses. That's not the measuring stick for the Yankees, and Yankee fans know it. And now that they suck and haven't won in 15 years, now it's all these other things.
Jeff, if you didn't hear my monologue, I've been taking shots at the New York Yankees, and you're going to sit here and you're going to blame Aaron Judge, and you're going to say Aaron Judge isn't a good captain, and you say he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. Well, I don't know. He hit 13 home runs, and he has 25 RBIs. Is he as good as he has been in the regular season? No. And
players aren't.
He's not. And he's a 211 career hitter right now in the playoffs, which is not good. But how many great players that we have spoken about over the years that are Hall of Famers that weren't good in the playoffs?
Yeah, Miguel Cabrera with the Tigers at certain points wasn't good in the playoffs.
How many of them? There were many of them, okay? And Aaron Judge still has 13 home runs.
This is what you're doing. You deflect on he's not good in the playoffs because you're going, how many other guys have done it? We're not talking about
I am telling you,
about Aaron Judge.
Yeah, you're telling me he's not a good player. That's what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, well, how many players are? How many players
Bryce
are?
Harper, when he was with the Nationals, was terrible in the playoffs. Did you give him the same slack?
No. You know why? You know why? Because he's a Yankee. That's why.
No,
yes, it is.
Because
yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's because the Yankees, they go back to the Giancarlo Stanton trade. How many, Speedy, you should be able to answer this. Don't let Earl answer.
Oh,
This
okay.
is one of those things that he'll deny.
Yeah.
When the Giancarlo Stanton trade was made that offseason, how many of them were just dancing in the streets going, "We're never going to lose again. It's
I
World
didn't like
Series
it
forever."
I didn't like it. I spoke out that I didn't like it, but guess what? I also said that the Yankees didn't have to give up anything for Giancarlo.
Jeff, also think of it this way. The Yankee fans, a lot of Yankee fans are very reactionary too.
Dude, the Mets fans were so pissed off. The Mets fans were pissed off that the Yankees got Giancarlo Stanton for practically nothing.
Because we also had a show that year, like in the early parts of the season, where the first topic was, why are the Yankee fans already booing Giancarlo Stanton? Because he struggled for a month.
So I want to respectfully disagree with Earl on one thing. You're saying we didn't give up anything for him. And while the prospects and that kind of haul may not have been great, what you did give up for him that was great, that has cost you, is the salary cap space. He's eaten into so much of the salary cap that you've had to go to bums like Josh Donaldson to fill out your team that have been horrific. So I would say there has been a cost to Giancarlo Stanton, and it has cost the Yankees.
Well, not really. I mean, the Yankees have gone to the playoffs a significant amount of times. They've been competitive. They went to an AL. They went to an ALCS
team to really compete, though. They haven't been a deep enough team to compete. They've had Stan and they've had Judge and they've had those threats, and then the rest of the bums they have to fill out their team with have all been terrible.
The problem with the Yankees, especially in the playoffs, is they're an all-power team. They're not a contact team. That's been the problem for the New York Yankees in the playoffs. They don't have any contact hitters. They brought DJ LeMahieu in. He was really good for 2 years. They gave him an extension, and he's done nothing since his extension. So this has been the problem for the Yankees. You want to blame Aaron Judge and Giancarlo? It's not them. It's the other players that they've brought in. It's all power, and that has something to do with Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman has built this team up wrong, and he hasn't added any left power hitting in this lineup. It's been a huge problem.
Forever, I was trying to tell you to get like Eric Hosmer or some big left-handed power. How long have I been saying that, Speedy? Left-handed power bat.
Yeah, of course, with the ballpark, anyone's going to note that kind of thing. But the other problem is the Yankees have had, now with the offensive downfall that they had this year, it was even worse. And that's why now you saw them have an 82-80 record. Granted, they were playing in a really good division, but still, the scheduling was even different this year, where they weren't even playing the division as much. And the Yankees had historically bad offenses for a while in the second half that I think only the Athletics and the Royals were worse.
But I think the constraints on the salary has hurt you because you've invested so much into those guys. I mean, look, I'd like to crap on you about Donaldson because I have before, because you said, "Oh, it's going to work," and it didn't.
Yeah.
But even IKF,
I thought it was
right, and I knew it wasn't going to be good from the very beginning.
I wasn't sure about IKF. I didn't know much about him. I know he came from the Twins organization, so I wasn't really sure about IKF, but he's been horrible. He was.
Right, but they were doing bargain basement deals because they didn't want to. It's, unfortunately, you got to face the reality that they're not the same Yankees.
No, they're not.
George was running it because he would have just spent and not cared. So there's that.
No, that trade was entirely a let's get this one struggle out for the other struggle, which Donaldson was for the Twins, and then besides the one season, and Gary Sanchez for the Yankees.
Right, but since they're kind of on this kind of budget kind of thing, the guys that they filled out their team with, the Donaldsons, the IKFs, those kind of things, those guys were terrible rather than actually going and getting people. And I would make the argument that because you had Stanton's worthless salary, you couldn't get those guys.
I would agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and not attack the Yankees for some of the signings and some of the trades that they've made. And Brian Cashman wanting to point fingers and throw everybody under the bus and throw the organization and some of the different players that he's brought in under the bus. Brian Cashman has never done this. I've never seen Brian Cashman go up and speak to the press and throw players under the bus. He usually keeps everything to his chest, and he deals with it, behind closed doors. Now he's going out there and he's throwing everybody under the bus. You know why he's doing that? I'm going to tell you why he's doing it. Because he already knows this is his last season. Win, lose, or draw. If he wins a World Series, he's gone. If he doesn't win the World Series, he's gone. If they don't make the playoffs, he's gone.
Right, but the problem with that is everyone would rather win than lose, okay? So he's still going to want to win, but he's so stupid because he's been living in stupid land in New York the whole time where everyone's dumb that, like, do you think he's helping himself by saying these things? He's not endearing himself to other players that might want to go there. That's a turnoff for players. I've been saying it for a long time. No one wants to play in New York. It's a dump. It smells. The people are terrible. They throw things at players. They're just the worst people, right? And now you got the general manager throwing players under the bus. They're not going to like that.
No, and I'm going to tell you this. He's going to lose out on certain players that might have been interested in coming to the Yankees. And now you look at Yamamoto. Why would Yamamoto want to come here after the GM threw half of the players under the bus at a press conference? It doesn't make sense. And again, you sit back, and I know Aaron Judge is not very happy because this is a guy that just signed a huge contract with the New York Yankees. He became the captain of the team. And now the GM, who's won how many World Series and helped this team go far into the playoffs year in and year out and have all these wins and have over a 500 team for all these years. You sit back. If I was Aaron Judge, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be happy to be a part of an organization that is throwing the players under the bus right now. It's terrible right now. And Brian Cashman should have kept his mouth shut. And now you're talking about after the GM meetings and now after the holidays when all these different players are going to be available to sign. Are they going to sign with the Yankees? I heard that they're interested in Chapman. Why would Chapman want to go there? Why would he want to go there?
I actually think they get the left-handed power bat this year. I think that they might get that done because I think Cody Bellinger might be a Yankee.
Definitely possible. But again, you also look at the Yankees with the way the new rules have worked too, and some of these trends in the league too. And they've been sticking with a lot of these older power hitters and hoping the younger guys could develop. And when those young guys haven't been hitting outside of Volpe this year, which did well, obviously won a Gold Glove, had a lot of stolen bases, but has to get his on base.
He was fantastic. Yeah, he really was.
No,
for a rookie.
Yeah. I'm not taking shots at Volpe at all.
He's a bust.
I'm saying that
he hasn't won anything.
He's the only one. You can't have that kind of thing. What? So everybody that didn't win a World Series is a bust? Should we knock all the young players on the Orioles and the Diamondbacks too?
How about we tackle
the
Red Sox?
The funny thing about it is I'm just highlighting how stupid the thing Earl said before because he just said, if they haven't won, they're a bust. Right, like that's what he said.
I'm not talking
too many
about
uncontrollable aspects of the game of baseball.
Hold on 1 second.
Now I'm going to apply it to everybody that Earl likes because they haven't won anything.
First of all, winning doesn't mean winning a championship, Jeff. What are you talking about?
That's exactly what.
No, I did not. Winning.
He's a bust.
So you're going to defend the Nationals for one playoff run that hasn't been in a steady consistency of winning over a team like the Braves.
No, it's honestly just a parody because I don't believe that. I just like doing it so you can actually hear how dumb the thing is that you said.
Jeff, you know what? I have heard so many stupid things come out of your mouth, and I sit here and I laugh at it. I don't sit here. Yes, not really. There's every time you come on this show, you say something stupid. You say, hang up the phone on him. I'm done with him. I'm done. I can't listen to this anymore. He sits here and he opens his big mouth. And I don't really I don't throw him under the bus. I could say all the stupid things that come out of his mouth. And you know what he tries to do? He tries to wiggle around it. I said this. That's not what I said. When I say something and I say, well, that's not what I meant. He says, well, that's what you said. No, that's not what I meant. I meant the way I said it, not the way you meant it and the way you think I meant it. So I'm so flustered with this guy every time he calls the show. MLB Network's John Morosi reports that Shohei Ohtani is intrigued by the idea of playing for the Atlanta Braves. Morosi added that the Braves are the most interested in upgrading their pitching staff for this season, and Ohtani won't be able to pitch this season. Ken Rosenthal reports that he sees the Blue Jays as an intriguing sleeper to land Shohei Ohtani. Reports say both Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette are willing to pause their own contract negotiations for the Blue Jays to go after Ohtani. ESPN's Jesse Roger also reports that he expects the Cubs to make a big run at Ohtani and that they are one of Ohtani's preferred destinations, not on the West Coast. He also added that if they don't get Ohtani, the Cubs are also very likely to pursue either Pete Alonso or Corbin Burnes in a trade. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's no way Corbin Burnes is going to be traded to the Cubs. There's no way that's going to happen. There's no way Milwaukee is going to trade a division team their best pitcher. That's not going to happen. Now, Pete Alonso, I could see that. It seems like the Mets don't want to give him a long-term deal. I think Pete Alonso wants a 7-8-year deal. Mm-hmm. I could see the Cubs giving him that deal. He wants to make closer to $300 million. I could see the Cubs overpaying for Pete Alonso. To get Shohei Ohtani, I think what's going to happen is Shohei Ohtani is going to pick one of those LA teams. I cannot see Shohei Ohtani coming out east. I know the Braves have been brought up. He's intrigued in stuff of that team and the talent that they have on the team. Acuna wins the MVP for the National League. It's great. And Albies, but what are they going to have to trade for Shohei Ohtani? Because you're going to be asking for top end talent, young talent, and maybe a player or two on this roster. I don't see the Braves making a move for Shohei Ohtani. I don't see it. The Blue Jays, I could see the Blue Jays doing it, but what are they going to have to give up? And now you've heard Bo Bichette, you heard Vladimir Guerrero. Are they going to trade Biggio? Are they going to trade some of their pitching prospects that we've heard so much about in their farm system?
Well, Manoah won't be able to be traded. He had a horrible year.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if the Blue Jays are the team that's going to land him either. There is a sleeping team that nobody is talking about, and I will say it, the Mets. I could see the Mets landing Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. I could really see it because the Mets have an owner that's willing to spend. He is willing to open up his pockets. Now, are the Mets going to bring in a pitcher who's not going to pitch this year, who's only going to be a bat in the lineup? You're going to have to pay him $500 million and then make a move because Yamamoto already said he wants to play with another Japanese superstar. You already have Senga there. And I think that will draw a guy like Ohtani to play with Senga and then bring Yamamoto. You have 3 Japanese players that is going to take probably, I would say, about almost $800 million of your cap.
100%.
So you sit here and you wonder, is Uncle Stevie willing to do that? And I do think if Steve Cohen can land Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani, that practically gives you a huge opportunity to win your division and then possibly win a World Series in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and that report as well with Shohei Ohtani not pitching this year or two, I think kind of knocks out the Braves a little bit too. Because you're right, they're not the team that's going to make that big leap to spend as much as you would see the Dodgers or even like you said the Cubs. I think definitely could do that kind of thing. So I think because of that, not needing the offense as much, that kind of eliminates the Braves. I could see the Blue Jays too because the Blue Jays do like to spend a lot of money, and they had a lot of hitters that didn't work out for them in certain years. They let go of Matt Chapman this offseason. He's a free agent. They tried it with a lot of these other veteran guys that didn't work out. They traded for Dalton Varsho this year from Arizona, who had a bad year, and they just haven't gotten that same production. Even Vlad Guerrero this year was kind of down too, and that kind of thing just not ideal. So I could definitely see that. The Cubs are interesting because they're that team. They're going to make the big splashes this year. Now, in what combination will they do it? Is another question because they also need more pitching than hitting. And Carl's saying in the comment section, Tyler Glasnow is a potential trade option too, which is definitely possible because that his value is going to be a lot lower. That being said, do you want to try to trade with the Rays who love to fleece teams too?
And Tyler Glass can't stay healthy. That's the problem with Tyler Glass. He is a good pitcher. He's been good with Tampa, and Tampa knows when to get rid of pitchers at the right time. They do it all the time. Now, Blake Snell wins Cy Young this year. The Padres look like they're moving on from Blake Snell. He's another pitcher that I've heard the Mets very interested in. If they strike out on Yamamoto, if they strike out maybe on Shohei Ohtani, I could see them going after Blake Snell and adding another bat in that lineup, especially if they're not going to re-sign Pete Alonso and they trade him. So there's a lot of questions. And would you do this as a Met fan? Would you trade Pete Alonso to add Shohei Ohtani? Would you do that as a Met fan? Now, yes, Shohei Ohtani is an MVP candidate every single year. He wins an MVP. He's won a couple MVPs. So, yes, you look at that. But are you willing to pay a guy $500 million when you don't know what his shoulder or his elbow is going to react to? a second time. This is what, his second UCL?
Yeah, and again, he's had other injury issues too because he runs on the bases a lot. When he had 26 stolen bases.
And by the way, Jeff, it's Tyler Glass now. I know what his name is. Okay, shut up, Jeff. You're an idiot. And this is why I blocked you. This is why you were blocked, because you're an idiot and you don't know anything. And you think that you know everything, and you think that you can argue everything, and you think everybody is wrong and you're always right. You're an idiot. You're a Patriot fan. They're never going to win. They're never going to win another Super Bowl. You know why? Because they don't have Tom Brady. They don't have Bill Belichick's gone. Your team, your organization sucks. And they stink.
And the Mets are in.
And so does the Red Sox, by the way.
And the Mets are in a tricky spot too because they also need the pitching depth really badly too. So to try to go all in on one player that is not going to be able to pitch this year too is going to be hard. So if they want to do that kind of scenario, they got to make sure that they are going to land him 100%. They can't trade Pete Alonso and then strike out on Shohei Ohtani where you get nothing in return unless you trade Pete Alonso for more pitching, that kind of thing too. Now, Carl, I didn't say the Cubs have to overpay. I was just judging on the pattern of 2015.
No, he's talking about me. He's talking about me. I'm taking shots and throwing jabs at the Cubs because they're going to overpay for a player like Pete Alonso. No, again, Carl, you listen too much to a guy like Jeff, who always likes to speak and say stupid things. And by the way, Jeff, if you can't pronounce my name anymore as Errol and you call me Earl, I won't answer, and I will make sure that I'm not answering the phone anymore and putting you on live radio. Who do we have on the phone?
Now we have Snug.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's hear this.
So grouchy. Why so grouchy?
Let's hear
before
you.
Thanksgiving. You should be thankful.
Oh, yeah? Why? Are you going to send me cupcakes?
No, I'm thankful I have cupcakes. I assume Long Island has plenty of cupcakes, although Speedy doesn't know where the bakeries are.
No, I don't.
But whatever.
Just right around the corner from your house, there's a bakery.
Okay, I didn't sort it out, but got Snug.
Do they make special cupcakes there,
I
Speedy?
don't know. If you want me to investigate, I'll investigate.
What kind of special cupcakes are you talking
If
about?
if I'm randomly willing to walk there, I'll investigate for you, Snug.
Is it too much to walk across the street for
It's
a
not.
long time?
It's not across the street. It's just
Not
a matter
to
of
mention,
if I want to walk that far in the cold just to figure out.
Well, it's not
what
that
type of
cold right now.
cupcakes.
It was 62 degrees out.
Speedy, how have I not been a supporter of yours over the years? You know I love your mustache when you do Movember. That's
I didn't do
always
a
fun.
mustache for you, Snug. I did the mustache for the Ranger guy we had a couple of years ago that made all those masks. He had a mustache.
If you did more mustache, Anchorage Man would come around more often.
Anchorage Man came on in the summer.
Yes, he did. And he gave us everything that you wanted to hear from him. So thank you to the
I
Anchorage
love
Man.
Anchorage Man.
Of
He
course.
could be on every week.
I'm sure. Why? Because he's a Boston guy, right?
Well, the guy gets it. Like he's well dialed in. He's a good sports dude.
We had an ex-Red Sox player on a couple of weeks ago, Devin Marrero. Why can't you guys give him the same respect?
He doesn't have that je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
That is a very cool word that I never heard of.
It's a French phrase. He doesn't have that
Je ne sais quoi.
special something. Yeah,
Poor
so,
Devin. He didn't get the same love from you, Snoke. I don't like it.
We're bringing more culture to the show today.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, if I have to think about French food again, I don't know if I could keep you on here, Snug, because we already had too much crap with French food.
Fries are not actually French food.
I know that.
We
were talking about
so
more gross French food with Chris Childs. That was more of the issue.
Although I will say that, foie gras is fabulous, as well as escargot is also a delicacy that, too many people laugh about, but it does taste really good. Doesn't go with cupcakes.
Snug, why'd you call?
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. Why'd you call?
I was angry.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at your butt buddy over there.
But why does it have to be like that?
Oh, why does it have to be like that?
We're just good friends.
Oh, you're good friends. You guys hang out?
Virtually, yes.
Virtually. Have you guys ever met each other?
No, but are you offering to fly us out to the show? Like Jeff and I would probably come on.
Oh, man. Why? So I can kick the living daylights out of him when he steps in the studio? I mean, seriously.
I don't think that advocating violence on your show is going to promote the ratings.
I mean, listen,
unless you're going
violence,
like a Springer format.
Listen, anything that Jeff has done over the years, threatening anybody on this show, I think violence would be very, very kind to a guy like Jeff.
By the way, Snug, Carl has a question for you. Have you tried the chili at Chris Chelios's restaurants?
The what?
The chili at Chris Chelios's restaurant.
I have not, but I probably would. Sounds delicious. Life's too short to, be angry and grouchy and judgmental. And we have to embrace these things.
Really,
now,
I'm angry and grouchy. Mm-hmm.
Bro, you were like Oscar the Grouch's cousin or something.
All right, could you ask the damn question seriously? What would you like to talk about?
What I was going to say is that the Pete Alonso for Shohei Ohtani would be the easiest trade in the history of trades. Like, you wouldn't even think twice about it. Why would you even consider an alternative to it?
Because there's no guarantee Shohei Ohtani will sign. You have to make sure he signs
Well,
first.
I mean, I'm just saying, in theory, if the trade was to exist, right? Like, you're not giving up anything on the power end of it, right? I would argue that Shohei Ohtani probably has as much or greater power than Pete Alonso.
But what about his elbow? First of all, and I understand what you're saying. Shohei Ohtani has another UCL tear. This is his second one.
Yeah.
He is how old now? He's going to be 29.
29. Yeah.
29, going to be 30 years old. So you're going to have to wait at least another year to get him on the mound. You're going to pay him $500 million or more to bring him to your organization, your team. You don't even know if he's going to be a dominant pitcher ever again, and you're going to give him that kind of money. I would probably take my chances with Pete Alonso, who's younger, who's 27 years old, than a Shohei Ohtani. Yes, he was an MVP. Yes, he's fantastic. He's great. He's a little bit older, and you're putting yourself in harm's way. And the Mets have always done this before. They bring in players, they overpay for them, and then all of a sudden they come here and they're underachieve. So
they just had to trade $131 million in one season at the trade deadline.
So I don't know if this is a good idea for the Mets. Now, it will put fannies in the seats. It will sell, obviously, jerseys. It'll sell out games because it's Shohei Ohtani. He's going to be in the lineup every single game. But still, you sit back and you wonder, is it worth $550 million? I don't know.
And the Mets are not one player away either. The Mets need so much young pitching because they have all older pitchers besides Senga. Senga's a great young pitcher that pitched well, rookie of the year candidate. But like Errol's saying, we have to see it the second year to be able to judge how good of a star he'll be long term. Quintana pitched well for them last year, fine, but he's older too, and he's on the last year of his contract. They need young pitching depth in the worst way possible, and that involves a lot of different smaller contracts, $10 million, $20 million a year contracts, or trades for guys with arbitration deals too. We were talking about Dylan Cease a couple weeks ago too from the White Sox. Maybe he's a guy they go after. Shane Bieber from Cleveland, who had a bad year. Maybe they go for him on a bargain and see if they can rebirth him too. There's other options they have to do more than just the star player. And that's why I'm saying you can't trade Pete Alonso impulsively just for a chance of getting Shohei Ohtani.
If you have the chance to possibly have the greatest baseball player we've ever seen, we'll say all-around player, right? He's not the single greatest in any one thing. Okay. If he can do everything on a baseball field you want him to do. Right?
No, Snug, I love Ohtani. I'm not saying the Mets getting Ohtani would be a terrible thing. I just don't think they're just Shohei Ohtani away from being a championship team.
Well, I'm just saying, but if you're going to if you had the opportunity to trade Pete Alonso straight across, you wouldn't do it like immediately?
I would have to wait for Ohtani to sign first. Then I would consider it. I am not trading Pete Alonso and then all of a sudden Shohei Ohtani backs out of the Mets and goes to the Dodgers, and then the Mets have nothing.
And I don't know if I would absolutely make that move, even if Shohei Ohtani wanted to come to the Mets. Because, again, I'm not sure if that elbow is going to hold up over the years. You're going to give Shohei Ohtani, what is he going to get? An 8-9-year deal. That's what he's going to get. And this is another UCL tear. What happens if he tears it again in 2 or 3 years?
He can still swing a bat with a torn UCL.
Yes, yeah,
but that doesn't mean the Mets will manage it well either. We've seen the Mets mess up pitchers all the time.
And what position he's going to play in the future? Is he going to play in the outfield? Is he good enough to play in the outfield? And here's another question. Are you going to play an everyday DH that kind of money? I mean, you're talking about $50 million a year. That's a lot of money to pay a player that's not going to pitch. He's not going to be a dominant force at his position. So I think you have to sit back and you kind of wonder if this is the right move if Shohei Ohtani does want to be a Met. Now, I think if the Mets get a chance to get him, I would sign him because it will sell out games, it will sell out jerseys, and it will bring so many people to the ballpark. And I think that's what obviously Steve Cohen wants, but is it going to help them win a world championship? I don't know. And like Speedy said, it's one player. Maybe if it draws Yamamoto there and you bring in a Yamamoto and you add Yamamoto to that pitching staff this year with Senga and you have Ohtani hitting, and then next year have Ohtani, Senga, and Yamamoto in your pitching, that's different. I would make that move if it's going to draw somebody like Yamamoto there. If it isn't, I don't make that move.
It also depends on how well the Mets' young players play next year, too, because besides Alvarez, who was very good as a catcher, they had a lot of prospects that came up and were not great hitting right away. Vientos, I think they kind of mismanaged Vientos, but he's...
You know what's so funny about Jeff, and he loves to take shots. Garrett Cole wins the Cy Young this year, and the first thing that he says, Spider Tack. The Spider Tack guy. He won't give anybody credit for what he did and how good of a season he had. He wasn't caught with anything on his fingers. No, you know what, Jeff? That's Jeff. That's what Jeff likes to do. He likes to attack everything the Yankees. Now, if Carlos Rodon has a good season next year and he has a Cy Young season, what's he going to say from that? He'll find a way to make an excuse. Like everything he does when he comes on this show, he tries to make excuses when he is wrong. I'm not going to say, Snug, that he doesn't know soccer and he doesn't know how to bet soccer.
He knows a lot about soccer.
Yeah, and there's no question that he probably does. But when he comes out with his takes and he just wants to throw other teams and organizations under the bus because he hates the organization or he hates the city, it shows you how stupid he really is.
Carl, to answer your question, do the Mets go after Bellinger? I don't hate the idea of him as a player. I think him as a center fielder has actually been surprisingly good in his last couple of years. I didn't think it would work transformation from first base to center field, and he had a nice year hitting, but the Mets, I think, need to focus on more pitching. I would sign Alonso and focus on making their trades for pitching, or like Errol saying, going after Yamamoto.
The Yankees are not bringing Stroman in. Carl, I have heard nothing that the Yankees are interested in Marcus Stroman. So I know that's what you think. And by the way, I know the Stroman family, his brother might even be a better player than Marcus. I mean, he's not a pitcher. I think he's a first baseman, but he's a great hitter. And he's going to be drafted in the next year, I think, maybe this year. So Marcus Stroman's brother is also a very good baseball player. But to go back to Marcus Stroman, I do not believe he's going to be a Yankee.
And I don't think he'll be a Met either. I think he had a very sour ending with the Mets as well.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to the Mets. And I'm telling you right now, even though he wanted to be a Yankee for years, out of all the pitchers that are going to be available, Blake Snell, all the different guys that are going to be available, there's a lot of good pitchers available this offseason.
Yeah, Sonny Gray as well.
Well, the Yankees aren't bringing Sonny Gray.
I don't think the Mets should either for the same reason. You want to trust him in New York.
I think Sonny Gray would be good with the Mets. I do.
I'd rather if I was going to go for the Mets. Yeah, I understand the ballpark factor could help, but I also think there's also some other smaller ballparks in that division too, which could hurt him. And I just don't want to take the chance on a New York player coming over there too. And also, you look at the trends of these pitchers too. Like, I'm worried about this with Blake Snell as well. The drop off after that big year has been a common pattern for Sonny Gray as well. And even when he's left the Yankees, it's been great year with the Reds. Then he was kind of meh for a while. Then he had the first good year with the Twins. Now the third good year with the Twins. And that's really been his pattern. And same kind of thing with Snell. After his great years, he's fallen off kind of thing too. And both those guys coming off great years are going to go after a lot of money.
Sonny Gray needs to stay in Minnesota and quit screwing around because he is a small market dude. He has shown that over and over, and somebody is going to go out there and spend way too much money on him and be very sad and disappointed.
We know it's not going to be the Yankees, that's for sure.
It could be the Yankees.
Nah, the
Definitely will
Yankees
not be the Yankees.
Nah. There's no way Brian Cashman is doing that. He's not. I don't think the Yankees go after any starting pitcher this offseason, unless it's Yamamoto. If they don't land Yamamoto, I don't think the Yankees get another starting pitcher. I don't.
Do you think there's a chance that Brian Cashman wants to be fired?
I think he knows.
Maybe he's like George Costanza, and he's just trying to ruin it so that they fire him so he can go be the head of the Mets organization.
No, the Mets have their head now. They're not going for Brian Cashman.
I think Brian Cashman's going to retire. I think if Brian Cashman steps down, which I believe he will at the end of the season, the Yankees will not fire him. He will step down.
He's just a grouchy old man now? Is that the problem?
I know he's not an old man. I mean, Brian Cashman.
He's not an old man. He's definitely grouchy.
I think Brian Cashman's I think he's 59. I think he is. I mean, when he took the Yankees assistant GM job, I think he was in his early 30s. And he's been with the Yankees for a little bit over 27. So he's got to be in his late 50s, maybe 60 years old. So he's still fairly young for a GM that's been in baseball for such a long time. I do believe
Brian probably Cashman, the older half of executives.
He's made a lot of money with the Yankees. So he doesn't really need to be a GM of the Yankees organization anymore. I think I've said it, and I'll say it again. I think Ing is going to take over for the New York Yankees. That's what I believe. I think she's sitting around waiting for that to happen. I think Brian Cashman already knows that he is on his way out. Win, lose, or draw. I'm telling you right now, he's gone no matter what happens. The Yankees could win the World Series this year and have one of the best years. Brian Cashman will retire, or he will step down at the end of the season.
And it's the perfect new school innovative move, too, because what is the biggest strength that the Marlins had was developing young pitching, too. But outside of trading Gallo, which wasn't Ing's fault, that was the previous regime.
And the Yankees like to bring in Yankee guys. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think, obviously, Ing was the first woman GM in baseball history, and she came from Brian Cashman's tree, and she stepped down from the Marlins. She built that Marlins team, and then she stepped down. I think she already knew that Brian Cashman was on his way out. I'm sure Brian Cashman reached out to her, and the Yankees are planning to start to move forward with a new GM in the future. So the Yankees
How
need
about
that.
a conspiracy? Maybe Cashman leaves the Yankees and goes to the Marlins so he can actually win a World Series.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't know. Brian Cashman in a small, really small market is going to be very hard for him to adjust to that kind of thing.
I don't think Brian Cashman leaves
How
New York.
hard is it to get used to living in Miami? Like,
it's not about living in Miami. It's about
terrible.
The Marlins are one of the smallest market teams. You're changing your whole thoughts process. Not to say that Brian Cashman was like spending like greedy, but Brian Cashman going from the Yankees, where they're expected to spend almost every year, to the Marlins that have the probably third or fourth lowest payroll in baseball, is a big shift for him. So that kind of thing is not going to work.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to care if he's in Miami, right? Because it's not the same thing. He's not going to be fighting with, ex-MVPs who are essentially worthless.
Oh, you want to go work for
paperweights
Jeffrey
at this
Loria?
point.
I mean, he's fought with a lot of people too.
Well, I'm just saying, like, relative to the amount you have to care or you have to be engaged, maybe he's, 60 years old. He's tired of the New York Winners. He's tired of the angry fans throwing things on the field and being mean to people. And maybe he just wants to go live that Miami life a little bit.
Okay, again, from a baseball perspective, though, Snug, if there's any chance of him going to another team, it would probably be like a middle market team. Because the one thing Brian Cashman has been good at has been good trades and gems in certain years. And maybe a middle market team would be able to abide by that. I don't think a team like the Marlins would be that team. Maybe a team like the White Sox, that kind of thing would work because they've had instability with their GM. They had to fire him. And obviously the managers, they can't get right at all. And they have so much young talent that's being wasted. And now they're going to have to lose. They're going to lose a lot of it because of that. Maybe a team like that makes sense. But Miami is going to stick with that system of being small markets.
It's possible. We're just throwing conspiracy theories out there, right? But we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and so I want to give some shout outs. First of all, I have to shout out to Jeff.
Of course.
Goat of all callers.
Of course.
I know you're mad at him tonight, but he's still a great caller. Second of all, I want to shout out to Lyle Gillen. I'm sorry that Manchester United stinks, but you're still a good dude. Shout out to Speedy. I have to shout out to my new friends, Marilyn and Nelson Silverberg.
Of course.
They're fine people, and I really like them a lot. Josh is pretty good most of the time, but sometimes he kind of falls into the grouchy camp too a little bit. I get blamed for some things that maybe didn't really happen. But anyway, I'm going to shout out to my cats. I'm going to shout out to Josh's cats. And I do want to shout out to Brittany because she's nice to us in the chat. Thank you. And I just want to see what Thanksgiving plans you gentlemen have, because that's important as well.
I'm going to spend it with my family this year. I'm going to have Brittany's family and my family over the house, over the crib, and we're going to have some.
Is there a lot of fighting
No.
on Thanksgiving? I imagine Mark's family throws things at each other.
Stop.
There's some of that?
Snug, I'm going to tell you this right now. There is nobody that comes to my house and fights. Okay? So.
They fight outside?
No, they don't fight. No. We get along.
Speedy, how about you? I imagine Speedy's family's nice and plays games.
There's pettiness. There's no fighting, though. There's always going to be pettiness within a family. Anyone's family is going to be like that.
There's definitely pettiness with my family. No question.
No doubt.
Yes, but
Will there be cupcakes?
Well, there you go.
No.
Well, thank you, Snug, for calling, as always. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. My cats and I are going to run 70 miles per hour over Thanksgiving to celebrate.
There you go, my friend. Hopefully they don't eat enough cupcakes. Snug the cats. Sportsnet NHL insider Jeff Merrick reports that Connor McDavid is legitimately pissed off with the direction of the Oilers. McDavid returned from the upper body injury last week and has 3 goals and 9 assists on the season. The Oilers fire head coach Jay Woodcroft and hired Hartford Wolfpack head coach Chris Knobloch as their new head coach. The Oilers also waived goaltender Jack Campbell, who was making $5 million per year. McDavid has a 3 years left on his contract with a cap hit of $12.5 million each year. The Oilers have 9 points right now, second worst in the NHL. Only the Sharks are worse. And by the way, could you imagine the Edmonton Oilers getting the number 1 pick this year?
No.
Could you imagine?
The NHL will definitely rig it for that.
Could you just sit back and you look at Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and whoever they draft here, okay? And honestly, they need goaltending. So, I mean, if there's a top goaltender at number 1 or number 2 or number 3, that's where they go. I mean,
the Oilers will trade the number 1 pick to get Vasilevsky or something.
They need to do something at that goaltending position because it's been a huge problem for the organization. It really has been. Who do we have on?
It might be Anthony. You said he was trying to call earlier.
Yes. Anthony, what's up?
Well, I figured, I'd give a call coming from the worst place in the world out here in, the dump, or what is it? What did he say? Oh, we throw things at people?
Yeah.
In New York City?
Yes.
Is that what it was? We throw things at people?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Oh, that's fun. You know what I mean? I don't remember this much hostility when I was on the network. What the hell's going on? Not saying from you, but it just seems like people just, I don't know. Is there like a running pool or like some kind of weird ass bet that we don't know of that people are just like, the person who pisses you off the most?
Now, the weird ass bet was supposed to have happened with a Jeff, and that never happened.
No, the problem is, Anthony, you got people like Jeff who likes to come in, he likes to troll, and listen, sometimes he gives you good takes. He really does, but most of the time he just comes in and he just wants to attack. And then he doesn't even know how to pronounce my name. And if he's not going to pronounce my name right, I don't want him on the show.
Errol. You know he's.
I know, but he's.
And you take the bait, bro.
Well, I
feel like
first of all,
I'm having one of those like
Anthony,
friggin' after school special sessions here.
Anthony, I don't take the bait. I don't take the bait. I want him to get in. I love when he argues with me. I like that he makes points and stuff like that. But he sits here and he says stupid things. And then when he wants to attack what I say, because I say it the way he doesn't like it, he wants to say, like, for instance, I say something about winning. I did not say winning a championship. I say winning season. Winning could be anything. But of course, Jeff likes to make it and throw it around like it means something. And it's so annoying. I'm not taking the bait for what Jeff says. I want Jeff to call, argue his points, and make some sense. When he's attacking New York fans that come on the show and that listen to the show, and he has something bad to say about everything New York, but Boston's so perfect. Boston's this, Boston's that. Meanwhile, as good as the Boston Celtics look right now, as good as the Boston Bruins look right now, when was the last time they won a championship? Tick tock, tick tock.
It's around the same time as the Yankees.
Like
yes.
What the hell do I care?
I'm just saying. So it just makes me laugh when he has something stupid to say, because if you attack the Boston Red Sox or you attack anything of Boston, background, he has something to say, and it just throws me off when I'm trying to get my content out. But anyways, what would you like to talk about, bud?
Oh no, I just figure you need a friend right now.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Oh my goodness, I tell you, buddy. No, but I heard everything that everybody was talking about and everything in response to the whole Shohei Ohtani thing going to the Mets. I know you're talking about Connor McDavid, and yes, I mean, they get them number 1 overall pick. I mean, I'm sure Connor McDavid's going to be a little bit happier because he'll have some support.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, you go back to Shohei Ohtani, getting rid of Pete Alonso. Yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Pete Alonso, he is a homegrown Met guy, which, quite frankly, the Mets, with the previous regime, didn't really do too much of that.
No.
And then the fans would attack them about that because they would get rid of the homegrown talent. They didn't have anybody that was considered their guy that would take them into the playoffs and such and all that stuff. So besides the fact that he's a homegrown guy, he is a producer and all that. Plus, he he doesn't get banged up that much.
Mm-hmm.
He's younger than Ohtani, like you said. Second injury, same second injury. He's a pitcher. I mean, let's be real. He's on a team right now. Where the hell did they go? And that's a team that has not just him, but probably as they would consider one of the greatest. You know, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. His buddy over there,
Lindor.
I'm sorry. No. Over on the Angels.
Trout. Oh, you're talking about Mike Trout. Yes.
Mike Trout. So you have Mike Trout and you have him on the same team. And what do they do? So imagine that. You bring him over to the Mets. It automatically makes them a success?
No.
Automatically?
The Mets are not one player away.
Now.
Anyway.
After you lose Alonso now. Because now you not only have a really good pitcher, but you have a really good pitcher that puts his body on the line when he's hitting as well, running the bases, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of risk there. So what are you really investing in?
Right.
Really? What did you really add something? Or how much better did you get? You know, it's kind of similar to what we've talked about. You and me have talked about it when you're trading the farm away, or as the Knicks fans would say, you know, you're giving all these guys away for Embiid. Okay, well, Embiid comes back on the team. Who the hell is he playing with? Nobody.
Right.
So you know it's going to be, and you know as well, there's going to be a ridiculous situation where it's not just going to be Alonso, but it's going to cost other things because of a lot of salary cap, this, that, and everything like that. Pardon me for my rambling, but I'm exhausted right now.
No, you sound
for
like
obvious
it.
reasons.
Yeah.
So that's why whenever people want to talk about that, yeah, of course, everybody goes with those things, just like the Knicks fans do. And I'm a Knicks fan, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you got to be realistic about the situation. Ohtani's not coming to the Mets.
No, I don't think so either. But if there's any team,
people could dream all they want, but those dreams are going to cost a lot of talent. They're going to cost a lot of potential future talent. You're not just basically risking what you have now, but you're risking the future. That's it. And then what ends up happening? What usually typically happens with these deals? They give him a huge deal and all that, and then he's going to be on the shelf, injured and everything. And then people are going to be talking about Ohtani the same way that they talk about Stanton. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Especially if it's pitching injuries too, which the Mets need badly, and that's why it's hard for them to imagine going after them this year. He's not going to pitch.
And then the Mets are that whole club. The Mets are just going to get tortured by the fans and everything, and probably people are going to throw things at them because they're from New York, and maybe if we had batteries, it would be battery day. We just throw everything at everybody. So from the stands,
And by the way, Shohei Ohtani is a free agent, but if he goes to another team, he is going to do a sign and trade. He's not going to let the Angels lose him for nothing. He's a Shohei Ohtani. Everything I've heard about him is he's a good guy, and if he decides that this isn't the team and this isn't the organization that he wants to move forward with, he is going to make sure that the Angels are compensated if he decides to go to the Dodgers or he decides to go to the Mets or wherever he decides to go. You're going to have to give up prospects. You're going to have to give up talent to land him. And the question is, are you willing to give up prospects? And are you willing to give up money that you're going to have to pay him for the future? I don't know if a lot of teams are going to be able to do that. I think the Dodgers will.
What's going to happen when he has that injury occur for a third time? Because anybody who knows anything about sports, anybody who knows anything about sports, you get injured the first time, that's one thing. You come back from it, great. The same injury happens again. Now you could forget about the integrity of that ligament, joint, whatever the hell it is. Because now forever, it's always going to be a question mark on anything. And not only that, but you should almost look at it as the career lifespan goes down considerably after each injury. So when it's the same damn injury, I mean, unless he cuts the damn thing off and becomes bionic, you're done.
No,
I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole about it.
It's true.
Oops, excuse me. I'm not trying to be an idiot about it, but that's the reality of the situation when it comes to professional sports. They're professional athletes. You have a guy who's throwing a damn ball, over 100 miles an hour, gotten for a duration of a game because his speed usually doesn't tail off. So it shows you how much he's grinding on his body. Not to mention in the field. He's not just, he's an everyday player. He's ultimately an everyday player. So what happens as he gets older and his body starts breaking down, because it already has started, and you said he's not 24, he's 29. Once you start hitting the 3-0, everything changes. It's just the way it goes. And what do they say? You can't beat Father Time. He's undefeated. Then what happens when you have a ridiculous deal and that nobody wants to take back or even invest in that, and he's going to be sitting, and so he's not playing either pitching or hitting or in the field or anything like that, where you don't have 100 and something games with him anymore. And now you start having 90 something games. Now you start having 80 something games. Now you start having 70 something games. Then he's on the DL for 60 days. He comes back one day and another 60 days, like what happened with Mike Trout. What happened? He came off one game, went right back on. Plain and simple. And now it screws with a lot of things in your career. So the injury thing is a big factor. Yes, he's talented, but usually after a while, the injuries and the injury history will outweigh the good you could do on the field of sport. That's just the way it goes with any sport, really.
Well, Anthony, we have one of your favorite segments that is coming up. Let's parlay. But before we let you go, why don't you tell everybody about your tournament this weekend?
I have a combat sport event this Saturday at the Queen's Theater. Doors open at 6, Parabellum 3. It's my third event as a promoter. It's been a really nice show. Had some really good amateur fighters on there, really good people, really nice people. It's just been a really nice culture. It's a lot of fun, the show at the Queen's Theater. And everything about it. It's kind of like a little bit of a tribute for me to go back to old school with the way things were done and such. And of course, featured Mr. Errol Marks will be there as well.
Well, look at that. I mean, jumping for joy. I always like entertaining all of the fans that are going to be there. How many people are going to be there at the theater?
Right now, I'm happy to say, based off of if any of the fighters bring back tickets or anything like that, as of right now, we're only sitting on maybe 20 tickets left to sell at the door. We'll be sold out.
Wow, 500 people.
So, roughly, yeah.
That's great. It's going to be a great promotion.
I know you have a guest coming up, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you'd rather do commercial and stuff like that. So I will talk to you tomorrow, buddy. Absolutely. Speedy, always a pleasure. Yep. And Jeff, God bless you, son. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, Anthony Andriosi, fantastic. He always is. He does have a great event. And I'm telling you right now, there are some good fighters on the card. There are good matchups. He set up the matchups, and kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai. It is going to be fun. If you've never been to an amateur fights or anything for mixed martial arts, well, you're missing out. This is one of the best cards you're going to see. And the final card of the year for Anthony Andriosi, this is his specialty. He knows mixed martial arts. He knows fighting, and I'm excited to be there. I've been to both his tournaments, and this is going to be one of his best. So a lot of title fights too. So definitely, if you're around, there's 20 tickets left. You could probably go to the door. There'll probably be about 10 or 12 tickets left. So first come, first serve, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we have Derek and Chaz for Let's Parlay here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy. Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to check the local listings is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. We've already had 3 callers. We have Bilal Powell coming up at 8:30. And for the next 10 minutes, we have Let's Parlay.
Parlay, ole, ole, ole. It's time for Let's Parlay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the great Mr. Mountaineer, Derek, and our friend Chazzy Moto himself. He has a backwards hat. He's ready to go in San Diego.
I'm not hearing anything.
Me either.
Oh, Petey's frozen. Look at Petey. He looks so intent, but he's frozen solid.
Bright.
There he is.
Oh,
there he
yeah.
is.
You got him?
There we go.
Derek
so
and I were talking, but we couldn't hear you guys.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. Speedy has like a million windows open. I keep telling him to shut.
Well, he was frozen. He was like frozen.
Yeah, because he's got like a million. He puts like 7, 8 windows open. I tell him all the time, the more windows you open, the more it slows the computer. They're fast as hell. We have IMAX all over the studio, but it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, you guys know the deal. You get 4 picks of the week. We'll go with Derek first, Chaz second. We'll go through it, and then your final pick is your parlay pick, as always. You guys ready?
Ready as we'll ever be.
Derek, I miss you, man. You got to be on every
Yeah, I know. It's been a couple weeks.
I mean, hey, listen, man. I know you got a girl. I know you got family.
God forbid Derek should have a life of his own.
But wait a second, Chaz. You should speak, man, over there. You got a woman too, man, and you got a dog. So there you go.
There's weeks I talk to you guys 3 or 4 times, man.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Derek, you're first. Here we go.
All right, I am going to go to Cardinals Texans. I'm going to take the over 48.5. This has been a year of unders, so a little scary territory here to be taking an under at such a high total. But I think there's a reason that the odds makers made this so high. It's 2 sneaky offenses that have a lot of upside and 2 defenses that both give up a lot of yards. I think Arizona was pesky to start the year, but now they're kind of showing their true colors, especially on defense. Jonathan Gannon comes from that Fangio tree where they're going to give up a lot of stuff underneath. He's going against CJ Stroud. I mean, we don't really have to talk about CJ Stroud and what he's doing at length. I mean, it's a historic rookie season. He's got Nico Collins back healthy now. That Texans O-line is as healthy as it's been all year. On the other side, I like betting on Kyler in his second game back. It's an angle that I typically look at with guys coming back. People might be eager to bet on that first game back, but there's a lot of uncertainty there. After watching him go into Atlanta or beat Atlanta at home last week, a relatively solid defense and run around look like the Kyler of old. I'm confident enough to bet on this over 48.5.
All right. Chaz, we need your first pick.
He does look like a video game out there. The way he runs around is just amazing. And he's so tiny. It's like Adam Ant or something running around. You know what? It's Derek's so right. I've been riding these unders. It's been great. It's been great because you know what? You don't have to watch a game because watching unders is brutal. And I'm going to come right back with one. I'm going to, and again, I got a New York team involved. It seems I'm either betting against them or betting, I'm usually just betting against them, actually, now that I think about it. And this is under in the Buffalo Jets game. I don't know what the line is because I've already made my bets. So let me see what I put it in at. It looks like it was maybe 40, probably 40. Could be 40.5. They get mad at me in my house, Derek, because I don't know the line. And I said, listen, I got an idea what the line is, and I'll look if it gets close. If my team's up 40-0 and I'm giving double digits, do I care if it's 12.5 or 13.5, But, so I don't have any of my lines, but I think it was like 40.
All right, Derek. Give us your second.
I'm going with another over. It's a player prop. I'm going to go to Bryce Young's rushing total over 10.5 yards. This is a really small number. Now, I know that Bryce Young is not a runner. He likes to play in the pocket, but for this Carolina team, he's had to use his legs a lot because that O-line is not good and those receivers are really, really bad. And this Sunday is going to be very ugly. He gets to play the Dallas Cowboys defense. You're not going to find too many mismatches this big in the NFL between the Panthers receivers and O-line versus that Dallas front and that Dallas secondary. Carolina's probably going to be down early and often, and Bryce Young's going to have to throw the ball a lot. 10.5 yards, we're not asking for much. He could get this on one scramble. He's hit this in his last 3 games. He's hit this in 5 of his 8 starts. His dropbacks in his last 5 games, he's hit 38, 39, 31, 38, and 41 dropbacks in his last game. So, look, we're just asking for maybe 1 or 2 rushes here. They're going to be in a negative game script. This is a really, really low number for him. So I'm just going to take the over 10.5 for Bryce Young rushing.
That's good. That's a good one.
Hey, how does sacks impact that?
It does not, like college. College, it would be a problem because they actually count towards your rushing.
Because that really is. That's one. How the hell? That's one play where if you got Dallas, you scream, how did you let him do that? It was 3rd and 11, right? And he gets the first down. That's all that is. Is one of those.
Exactly. All right, Chaz, give us your number 2.
Detroit. Not only am I betting Detroit, but you know how I have the easy sports data and really, I've got the thank you Jesus video that I'm not going to play because I don't really know how to play when Speedy's the host, but I really should give it to you, Petey, for when I come back because it's been such a wonderful run, but I want the energies of the world to understand I know what I'm going through and I'm appreciating because I've won when a Dallas 2-point conversion was taken off the board. I won last night when a guy scored a touchdown. I'm taking my kid to LAX. I watched this guy. He goes up. He puts his arms in the air. I shut off my TV. I come back and see the money in my account. The guy ran an 80-yard touchdown, got tackled on the 1-yard line. The ball comes out. It goes out of the end zone. They take the touchdown off the board, and I win. So that's where I'm going with Detroit every single quarter. I've never done this before. I'm betting them in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and for Let's Parlay for the game.
All right, Derek, give us your 3rd.
I'm going with a 3rd over, guys. I feel like I'm always coming in with the unders on the show, but there's another over I really like. It's Rashee Rice over 42.5 receiving yards against my Eagles on Monday night. I just think the matchup is too juicy. He has been a zone coverage killer for the Chiefs. He is averaging over 3 yards per route run against zone coverage. For context, if you average that in general, you're an elite receiver. Tyreek Hill's averaging over 4 yards per route run this year, but he's also having like the greatest season ever for a receiver. A.J. Brown's around 3.7, I think 3.8 yards per route run. Rashee Rice is averaging over 3 yards per route run against zone coverage. Eagles play zone at one of the highest rates in the NFL. He's establishing himself as that number 2 option behind Kelsey. And I think what we're seeing this year more than ever, especially last year, teams are really deciding to take away Kelsey and make other options beat them in the passing game. They didn't go out and get a receiver at the trade deadline. I think they're putting their eggs in the Rashee Rice and maybe other guys, hoping other guys might step up in the ancillary role. But I think they really believe in Rashee Rice. He's hit this in 3 of his last 4 games. And his snap count has gone up in each of his last 3 games. He's gone from 49% of his snap count to 59, 61, and 68% of the snaps in their very last game. They just hit the bye week. I always like hitting rookies on the post-bye rookie bump is a real thing, especially with an Andy Reid coach team where it could be pretty tough to pick up on the offense and hit the ground running right away. But Rice has shown plenty of flashes. He has a great matchup against an Eagles secondary that struggled. So give me Rice over 42.5 yards on Monday Night Football.
Chaz, give us your 3rd pick.
This one was actually off the board when I put it in, and I had to wait till later in the day, but it's the under in the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. Again, betting under against in any game that involves a Pittsburgh team, a Baltimore team, a Cleveland team, or a Cincinnati team in the last 2 years is probably a pretty good bet.
Okay. All right, Derek, give us your final parlay pick.
I'm going to college football on Saturday. I'm going to take the Miami Hurricanes on the money line against the Louisville Cardinals. I think they're plus 1.5 on the spread. So I'm just going to take them on the money line. I'm going to take them to win. They're plus money. I'm selling Louisville at its highest. They are a top 10 team. They're 9-1, but I'm not really buying it. They're 4-0 in one possession games. They snuck by a terrible Virginia team last week. They beat Indiana by 1 possession. They beat Georgia Tech by 1 possession. I mean, they've snuck by some really bad teams. Their most impressive win was against Notre Dame earlier in the year, which was a brutal situational spot for Notre Dame. And as we all know, Notre Dame is pretty fraudulent this year. I think they're up to 3 or 4 losses already this year. This Louisville team has only played two true road games. And one of them they lost at Pitt, who going into tonight, I think had 3 wins. I think they're going to beat BC tonight, but that is not a good Pitt team. And their other win was at NC State, 13-10, not a convincing win at all. Miami since 2005, they're 19-5 against the spread as home underdogs. So they're not really underdogs at Hard Rock very much, but when they are, they're profitable. I always like this spot at the end of the year when you can kind of pick on the teams that are ranked high, but they're probably not going to finish there at the end of the year. And Louisville fits that bill perfectly. They've won all their close games, but I don't think anyone truly believes they're a top 10 team. And I think the odds makers are telling you that with this spread. I think the public bettor might be saying, oh, top 10 team going to Miami. Why are they only a 1.5 point favorite? I'm going the other way. I think Miami's going to win this game at home, take care of business. Louisville's going to have their second loss of the year after this one.
All right, your final pick, Chazzy.
I'm also going with Miami. However, I will tell Derek that I have watched Louisville, and they don't pass the eye test for a team that's in the top 10, and there's no doubt about it. My Miami has a different paint job, though, on the helmet, and it plays on a different day. But I think it might play in the same place.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
same
sir.
locker room. We're getting 2 W's out of 1 locker room this weekend because I'm taking the Finns. I think they're going to whack them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before we let you go, Derek, are you going home for the holidays?
I'm not going to go for Thanksgiving because my family's leaving Friday, the very next day, like 3 a.m. to go somewhere. So I'm not going through the Thanksgiving traffic for that. I will be back for Christmas, but not for Thanksgiving, unfortunately.
You taking the girl with you?
Christmas, absolutely.
I'm just asking. I know your brother. I know your brother has a brand new house, so you gotta check out. You gotta
check it out. I still haven't been.
The crib. Yeah, you gotta definitely check out the crib. But we really appreciate you guys as always, and we will talk to you next week.
Always be cashing, guys.
See you guys.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Let's Parlay. When we come back, our friend, ex-New York Jet, and one of my favorite players growing up, Bilal Powell, here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy, Petey, go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, the local listings, and you can listen to the Sports Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com, and you can check out all the shows. And by the way, if you miss any of the shows, you go to Apple Podcasts, you go to Spotify, you can find us, the Sports Loudmouth. You can tune in, listen to all the replays, all the interviews, all the content that we have, or you can go to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network and tune in over there as well. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of them. Tune in every single week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you all been waiting for, he's been a very busy man, and we're very happy, but very happy to have him on. We're now talking to former New York Jets running back, Bilal Powell. Bilal, what's up, man?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
You look good, man. I mean, you're wearing a Knicks hat. I mean, you're sporting a New York. Listen, I'm not wearing any New York hat. A lot of people throughout social media have been attacking me. Do you ever not wear a New York Knick hat, New York Yankee hat, New York Islander hat? So you know what I did? I'm just going to wear a star hat over here so everybody can leave me alone on social media tonight. But you look good, man. You look healthy. You could probably be the Jets running back right now, especially the play calling of this absolute terrible offense. We're going to get into that right now because I have been just disgusted offensively with this team. And everybody wants to point their fingers at Nathaniel Hackett and Robert Saleh. But here's the problem, and I'm going to say it. They don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball. They don't have a quarterback that can read a play out in the field. What do you think right now is the problem offensively with the New York Jets?
I think right now, you're talking about it. The quarterback position is one of the biggest problems. They have a lot of problems, but the biggest problem right now is the quarterback. I mean, it's the simple things of him not even going through his progressions. I mean, him just locking in on his receivers, him holding on to the ball, not understanding situational football, not being aware, not having a pocket presence. Those are the type of things when you're a good quarterback, the little mishaps that are happening, everybody's talking about, oh, man, well, we'll talk about the offensive line. We'll talk about the penalties or the drop balls. Yeah, every quarterback in the National Football is facing those problems. But the good ones know how to get their team out of those type of situations. If they're just a decent quarterback, and Zach Wilson is not that guy to be able to lead this team.
So you being a former running back, they have Breece Hall now. This Jets team is very talented. Dalvin Cook as well. They tried to rebirth. It didn't really work the same way. But the coaching is not running the ball enough. Are you surprised they're not doing that with Zach Wilson's struggles, especially against the Raiders, who have the worst run defense in the league?
Well, I think they kind of shy away from the run game because I think on the offensive side and the defensive side, they've been starting slow. I mean, they haven't shown where they started fast, man. And sometimes coordinators tend to get away from the run game, but you don't have a quarterback to get away from the run game. So I think they need to focus more on the run game. People talking about the offensive line. Well, Breece Hall is averaging 5 yards a carry. He's up there with the top running backs in the league right now with this offensive line that everybody is trying to blame and not trying to blame Zach Wilson for just not being a good quarterback.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former New York Jets running back Bilal Powell. Bilal, I've been watching Izzy all offseason. This kid can run the ball. They drafted him. I think he was a 4th-round draft pick. He's a fantastic, fantastic running back. Reminds me a lot of you. And that's the type of running back he is. He's a tough running back. He can run on the outside. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can do everything. Have you ever watched this kid play? And what type of player are the Jets adding to this roster this coming week?
And when I look at Izzy, man, he has that deception speed. He long strider. When I look at him, he's a one cut and go. And I think he plays well. Those type of running backs last in this league. You can't get guys that think they can just dance around. So I think he's a pro style running back. And obviously he's going to come in with fresh legs. And I think he's going to give this offensive spark. And I think you'll see him on special teams as a returner. I like running backs as returners anyway on kick return because they're one cut and get vertical. And I think they're kind of lacking that explosion from Xavier Gibson. We saw the one return that he had against the Buffalo Bills, and we thought, man, he was just going to be explosive. But ever since then, it's just been mediocre. So I think he's going to bring some explosion to the kick return game as well.
So this offseason, we saw a lot of running backs having trouble getting contracts. Jonathan Taylor got his, but guys like Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs did not get theirs. And you as a former running back, like, what are your thoughts on this situation with these running backs dealing with now?
I think it's crazy, man. It's always a market for something. It's the running back market, it's the receiver market. I think when you look around the league, I just did something with this talking about the percentage of yardage that running backs make up in the offense running the football. You're talking around a third of the offense. And some teams up to almost 45% of the offense that's gained, the yardage that's gained comes from the running back position. So to kind of undervalue those guys in that position is insane to me, especially being a former running back and understanding what I had to do. I had to understand the blocking scheme, pass, pro, and running. Sometimes I had to understand the route concepts. I had to get in the pass game. So you got to block, you have to pass, you have to catch, you have to know everything. Like, so for me, outside of the center and the quarterback, running backs touch the ball more than anybody else on the field. They do. And to undervalue that position, to me is like disrespect. And those guys, let's be honest, man. You can't win games if you don't run the football. You have to be able to run the football. You can throw the ball all you want. I guarantee you, any defense will tell you, if you want to manipulate a defense, run the football. Run the football, and you see that changes the game. It gives you time of possession, and you can just suck the life out of a defense, man. That's the value of a running back. And they're trying to say that you can find a running back a dime a dozen, but there are certain running backs you just have to pay. There's a certain guys that are special that some other guys just can't do what they do.
Speaking of defenses, you came from a very good defensive team in Rex Ryan, one of the better defenses in all of the league. And this year, the Jets, again, have a top 5 defense. They're dominant, but they have no offense. How could you compare the defense that you had with Rex Ryan to the defense that the Jets have right now with Robert Saleh?
Man, it's similar. It's definitely similar. And when you look at the cornerbacks that we had and look at the cornerbacks that they have now, I think right now I just saw something, man. Those guys are number 1 in the league right now. They're the number 1 ranked defense in the National Football League. And they have 5 losses. And we all know why those losses come. You're looking at a team that is based on the turnover margin because the offense can't score. The only reason they're staying in these games is because of the turnover margin of the defense. And what they're doing over there, man, is amazing. And when I look at the defense and I look at everything that's built up, it reminds me so much of Rex Ryan's defense. You had DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. Well, when I was coming, it was Revis and it was Cromartie. With those type of cornerbacks, you can do whatever you want on the defensive side of the ball. You can blitz, you can play, man. You can do so many different things. And, I'm looking at this defense. It's like, man, if they can just get it going on the offensive side of the ball, this team is easily sitting at 7-2, 8-1. You know what I mean?
So the defense, while the talent is there, like Robert Saleh, I've always criticized for his not being able to adjust as much. Sometimes the game planning, they struggles with run defense at certain points. Tight ends last year really hurt them. So what do you think of him as a defensive play caller and also as a head coach? Do you think his job could be at risk?
Well, when you talk about the adjustments, I think they do a pretty good job at adjusting. I think early on they were struggling with the quarterbacks that could extend plays, and then you kind of see in the second half of the game where they started to put a spy on these guys. But when your offense isn't getting anything going, and you're just putting the defense back out there, and they're human, right? They get tired. And we saw late in the game, those are the times when big runs happen, when the defense is tired. So if the offense is not converting on third down, they're not staying on the field, they're forcing the defense to get back out there. And you telling them, those type of guys, to say, hey, Saquon Barkley in the fourth quarter and we're tired, we got to tackle him. We got to tackle these running backs because they get paid just like we do on the other side. So if you look at the statistics, I always tell people this, man, some of the statistics where they stand right now is based on the offense not getting going. They're tired. You know what I mean? So if you give an offense a certain amount of opportunities, something is bound to happen. And that's what you see later in the game when you're watching the New York Jets, because the offense can't get anything going for those guys.
We are talking to former New York Jets running back Bilal Powell, one of my favorite running backs, one of my favorite players on the New York Jets for all those years. As a matter of fact, Darrelle Revis was my number 1, and Bilal Powell was my number 2. I always love to watch you play.
That's high, man.
Yeah.
You sure? Is it because I'm on the show? You being honest?
No, Speedy, what do I always say? What did I always say in that time of year as a New York Jet? Yep. That 5-year, 6-year span, you were one of my favorite players. And just because you were gritty, you went out there and you gave it your all. You knew that every time you touched the ball, you were going to give it your all. And I know where you came from. I think you were a 3rd-round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. Fourth round draft pick. And you were a player that when you finally got a chance to play, you really showed off your talent. You can do everything. You can run the ball. You can catch the ball in the backfield. How many times do we see Mark, pitch you the ball, and he did so many things in the backfield that a lot of Jets running backs couldn't do. And that's something that really stuck out to me about the player that you were. But, we look at the AFC right now, and for all those years, it was dominated by the Patriots because of Tom Brady and because of Bill Belichick. Now, everybody's tossing Bill Belichick to the side saying he's going to be fired. They're going to add Vrabel, all this crazy stuff. And there's no predominant Super Bowl champion here in the AFC. Everybody keeps talking about the Chiefs, but they don't have a top wide receiver on this team. We said Rice, but is Rice really that good? I don't know. The Jaguars right now are 6-3. Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked good, and Travis Etienne is up and down. And then you look at the North, it really does stand out. The Ravens are 7-3. The Steelers are 6-3. The Browns are 6-3. The Bengals are 5-4. If they win tonight, they could be 6-4. There is nothing that stands out right now in the AFC, in my mind, that is a Super Bowl contender or absolute the favorite of winning the Super Bowl coming out of the AFC. What do you think right now in the AFC? Why do you think it's so wide open?
It's wide open right now because the Buffalo Bills just tricked off that game with Denver, and the New York Jets have two opportunities in front of them right now, playing the Buffalo Bills this weekend, and then coming up on Black Friday versus the Miami Dolphins. Like, the Miami Dolphins hadn't beaten a team that was under 500. I mean, they're not beating good teams; they're beating okay teams. All the good teams that they've played, they struggled against. So that leaves it wide open. You're talking about this weekend playing for the 2nd spot in the division, and then the next weekend we're playing for the 1st spot in the division, and they don't even have an offense. Is insane. So I look at that, and you talked about the AFC North. To me, that's probably the best division in the AFC. Best division in the AFC conference.
Oh, no question.
It's wide open. NFC, obviously, you have the Eagles. The 49ers are even tricking off 3 in a row. Like, who is that team that's like dominant? There's no team. It's wide open. This is the time that you want to put those wins together, where you start to see those playoff teams early on start to slip out. And then you have those couple teams that start to beat these teams, and they put it together, and you find themselves stacking it. And then they built that momentum where, these teams don't want to play these teams later in the season. They're just rolling. Everything's just clicking on all cylinders. That's where you are right now in National Football League. There's no dominant team. Even with Kansas City sitting at 81 and Philly sitting at 81, the Jets should have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, and they did beat the Eagles. So it's just like, hey, it ain't like no one's dominating anybody right now. So, to me, it's not it's not one of those things where I'm confident that the Eagles going to win it this year, or I'm confident that Kansas City's going to win it. It's wide open, man. It's for the taking.
Most I've ever seen it. Honestly, there is no guarantees that Kansas City or the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl this year. And it's something that you didn't expect this year, even though we knew Kansas City wasn't going to be what they were last year because of the wide receivers. They had Juju last year. They had Mecole Hardman. Now they have Mecole Hardman back, but now Mecole Hardman is being dragged like as a 4th guy. And he was not a number 2 guy. He's not a number 1 guy.
No, he's a gadget guy.
Now he's a gadget guy. So there is no guarantees. And look at the Raiders. They obviously fire their Josh McDaniels, and they bring in obviously a coach that's never been, he's never been a coach before. He was a great Pierce. He was a great linebacker in the league, and he has them winning right now. They're 2-0 since he's taken over the team. And we've seen this before with the Raiders. They snuck into the playoffs with a special teams coach that really nobody expected to take over the team and do as well as he did. So there is no guarantees. And that's what makes football so fun to watch every single year, because there's no guarantees that one team is going to come up on top.
No, not at all. And like you said, man, that the Raiders doing a good job of putting it together, and that's what it's all about. November is where you get into the playoffs, and that's the truth. You know, you start to play these divisional games. The second time playing a divisional opponent, it's harder to beat a team the second time than it is. Everyone has film on you. They know your tendencies. It's harder to win later in the season. And, you know, the good teams, the team that are glued together, the teams that are clicking, those are the teams that you're going to see in the playoffs, man. And it's probably a team right now that we don't even expect that's gonna pop up in the playoffs, and they're gonna shock everybody. You know what I mean? It's a team that we probably haven't even mentioned because it's that wide open this year all around the National Football League.
And you know what's the surprise, and I think is going to surprise everybody? The Texans. If somehow the Texans make the playoffs with CJ Stroud, who, by the way, if you were to ask me right now who the MVP of the league is right now, it's CJ Stroud. I mean, he has been unbelievable, really taking this team. Nobody thought they were going to have 5 wins at this time. They're 5-4. They can actually win their division. They can actually be a top seed going into the playoffs. It's an unbelievable story for everybody. I don't know if anybody remembers when he was drafted. He was drafted at number 2. Everybody thought he was going to fall out of the top 10. And when he was drafted by the Texans, he started to cry, and he said that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it my all. Everything that he has guaranteed to do since he came from Ohio State and everybody was questioning his talent, he has done it this year. He is breaking records. He might even break the rookie record this year in his first season. And he could be could you imagine him win the MVP as a rookie? I mean, it's unbelievable.
With a first-year head coach, too.
Yes, unbelievable.
This is his first year being a head coach over there. So that's exciting, man.
It is. And that shows you the talent that the NFL is bringing in now. It's fun, and that's what I want to see. I want to see every single team compete every single year. There is no predominant superstar team anymore. It's everybody thought San Francisco was going to win. Blah blah blah. Brock Purdy's come to life. I mean, he might not be the quarterback. Everybody was comparing him to Tom Brady. You know Tom Brady. He's not Tom Brady. Okay.
No, he's not. I'm sorry, he's not.
That's
almost as bad as somebody comparing Ezekiel Elliott to Barry Sanders.
You might as well play the lottery before you think something like that. You know,
you
got a better chance at.
Come on, Bilal.
You're struck by the lightning or something, man. and tend to say something like that. You know, that's crazy. But you know, I would say this though. You're starting to see a lot of these young quarterbacks come in and really make an impact. It usually, you know, back in the day, it was like, oh, put him under a veteran, let him learn a year or two. Now these guys are getting out here, like you see these guys and they're just taking over. You know what I mean? And like, that's what you want from as an organization, guys to start fast, man, like that. And it's actually fun to watch, man, because I remember when quarterbacks used to come in first round picks and just struggle. And these young dudes are coming in and they're making an impact on their team.
So one of the debates that a lot of these players have been having kind of since the last time we had you on the show last year was the grass versus the turf. Cooper Kupp was the first one to advocate for the turf, and a lot of other guys are going for that. And we've had a lot of ex-NFL players as well that have kind of been split. What are your thoughts on that as a player?
I hate turf. They need to take it up, roll it up, burn it, never bring it back, man. Like I love natural grass. It's nothing like natural grass. I mean, just even falling, you know, concussions, hitting your head on the turf versus hitting it on the grass is totally different. You know, just better on the joints. Grass is just better on the joints. I mean, you get turf burns, you get rubber pellets, and you've cleats. I mean, it's just so much, you know, so many cons when it comes to that turf. Roll it up, burn it up. Don't bring it back. Don't bring it back.
Don't bring it back. Bilal Powell. We were talking to former Jets running back Bilal Powell. You know, Bilal, Aaron Rodgers speaks out on Pat McAfee's show. He's on every single week. I love it. And he answers the question so perfectly. You only expect that from an Aaron Rodgers. And he said something very interesting on Pat McAfee's show this week. And he said there's stipulations now if he comes back. And honestly, the stipulations is if the Jets are a borderline playoff team, that's the only way he's coming back. Do you think, honestly, if you were Aaron Rodgers, do you think that he should come back in December if the Jets are a borderline playoff team and risk himself playing for next year?
I don't think he should come back in December. That's too early. I think you let them kind of run it, and hopefully they can get you into like a January or something like that, man. You don't want to see him coming back in December and re-injure this thing, just because of, I don't know what his motive is to stay around or stay relevant to the team. Just heal up, man, and hopefully you can watch a team go out and fight for the rest of the season, and hopefully get you a good team, get some signings in the off season, and get you rolling for next year. But other than that, man, I said he wasn't going to come back. It'd be crazy for him to come back. So many things have to work out perfectly for him to come back. And I don't know if Vegas have any kind of odds out there of him coming back, but I think the bet. What I mean? But man, I just want to see him heal up, man, and not rush it back. Honestly,
Well, open up those big pockets, man, and put some bets on it.
me, whatever the odds.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll bet for us together, and if I do win, I think the odds are like plus 1,700 or something like that. The odds are very unlikely, especially where the Jets are right now. Now, if something falls together, if the Jets win this week and Miami loses, and then the Jets are going to that Black Friday game where if they win, they take full custody of first place, that's different. But the chances of that happening, everything has to align. And as long as Zach Wilson is the quarterback for the New York Jets, I'd rather throw up. Okay. So
I'll let you say it. Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. I know you're a Jet.
The
and you're a
Zach
Jet
believers
fan.
are getting on me, man. So
Well, I'm a Jet fan, and honestly, I have taken shots at the Jet fans because the Jet fans, they sit back, they make excuses for this team over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden they want to throw Zach Wilson under the bus. But I've been saying that since the week 3 that he should not be the starting quarterback. And then, as much as I like Robert Saleh is not doing anything to justice when he stands there and says, well, it's all of us. It's not just the quarterback. How about this? It is 60% the quarterback and 40% us. And if you are going to strunt out there with a quarterback that barely knows his ass from his tailbone, you're never going to win.
That's the truth. That's the truth, honestly. And, you go from hearing the Super Bowl contending team when you have Rodgers, and then he goes down, and it's like, oh, that's it. That's the end of the season. And then you see these guys start to put these wins together. And, one of the biggest things I think kind of gave these fans a false false identity of Zach Wilson was that Kansas City game. Like, they saw a glimpse of greatness, and they're like, oh, he's great. And ever since then, it's been like, come on. You know what I mean? And then you look around the league and you see these other teams making moves, and they're firing OCs, they're benching quarterbacks, and then here we are still with Zach Wilson going into a divisional game that we need desperately to you know what I mean? Because if this is up, and if they don't win this one, they might as well just start packing up and booking vacations in January and figure out where they want to go vacation for after the season. Because if they lose this one, it's gonna be hard, man.
I was on a cruise when they were playing Kansas City, and I wasn't very happy with that. That penalty by the unbelievable referee call in that game. And by the way,
Taylor Swift was in the building.
Yeah, trust me,
They couldn't let the Chiefs lose to the Jets with Taylor Swift in the building, man.
Oh, come on. You're not a Swiftie? Come on.
No, I do not need Swiftie fans against me. So, no, I don't want hate mail.
Well, could you sing a Taylor Swift song?
I absolutely can't. I can't.
Do you know any Taylor Swift songs?
If you play one, maybe. If you play one, maybe.
So you're not a pop culture type of guy, right?
I am. Just
who's your favorite artist?
I have a couple. Lecrae is one of my favorite artists.
I like Lecrae. Yeah.
I like Lecrae, and man, I'm a Drake fan.
Mm-hmm.
I like Drake, man. He talks. He is very lyrical.
Have you ever met Drake?
I never. I seen him. Well, he was out here. He was out here for Derby last year, but didn't get a chance to physically meet him. So
I actually met him a couple times. My friend, DJ Mustard, I'm a DJ. DJ Mustard's been his DJ for a while, and same as the weekend. I actually went out and had some drinks with them. I don't drink, by the way, and he loves his Cristal. So I had the opportunity to have a conversation with him, and he's actually cool, down to earth. You wouldn't expect that from a guy that's making millions and millions of dollars, and he's the biggest rapper right now in the industry. He seems like he's just laid back, and he just wants to hang out now with his son, and so he's a pretty good and more down to earth than anybody would have expected from a guy that big of a superstar.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to meet him, but my wife's a huge Drake fan. She's already talking to him. She is. He was like, he's coming to Lexington. I was like, okay, She was like, well, we're gonna go. She already like ready to book the tickets and everything. So
I'll tell you what, man. Whenever he comes out, I know his album's out. I know he's going on tour. I don't know where you're in Lexington over there.
yeah, so I'm in Louisville. Lexington's like 45 minutes.
Well, if
He's coming out there though, right? Long Island? Is he coming out there? I think.
If he is coming out here, I might be able to hook you guys up.
Yeah,
I might be able to
I'll
hook
take
you
you
guys.
up on that.
Would you come out
Don't
here?
tell my wife that. She'll book it tonight.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
everything right now.
We'll stay
She
in
will.
touch, man. I'll see what I
Yeah.
can do for you. I
Okay.
might be able to get you back there to meet him.
Okay, take you up for it.
Well, you better.
Definitely.
You better. I mean, hey, listen, man. You're what can I do? I mean, you're one of my favorite players growing up, and why not to say, hook your wife up, and she can just like her eyes will just pop right out of her head.
I
She's
know
like,
it.
oh, it's Drake. Maybe he'll let her jump on his back, and you can take a picture of that. She'll love
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'm just messing with you.
Maybe. I don't know.
So one more question for me. My last question is about the injuries. A lot of the concussion, CTE stuff in the NFL, and especially now a lot of these other major injuries too. A lot of non-contact injuries, and we've talked to a lot of ex-NFL players about the NFL not really giving the same benefits to ex-players as other sports. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, obviously, I'm a big advocate with mental health, and a lot of it has to do with the brain. So, watching a lot of my teammates, suicide rate go up in the NFL post career. I'm big on the CTE stuff, man, and I've actually seek help for that as well myself. It's okay to ask for help. A lot of those guys, man, they have too much pride to ask for help. The transition is hard. It sometimes I think it triggers the CTE, makes it worse. But I would say this, man, just reach out for help. Keep yourself around good people. People that can care less about you being a player, and really just like really focus on that mental health, man. The transition was hard. Anybody that tell you the transition easy, they're lying to you. I've been out almost 4 years, and I'm just now getting on that. Okay, I'm finding myself. It's the truth. You know what I mean? So the CTE, the brain injuries, man, players deserve their benefits. They do. You put up blood, sweat, and tears. One of the most dangerous sports you can play. So, the CTE is real, man. And I'm starting to see it in some of my teammates. Some of the wives reaching out to my wife, asking questions about me and, our experience. And, she's part of the wives page on Facebook. And, man, you hear some horror stories that the media they don't hear about, I just try to support my brothers because we're a fraternity, man. It's a small fraternity. But the players have to be for the players. You know what I mean? Like, to me, one of my biggest things when I actually talked to a couple guys, man, that they wear the gold jackets, and I said, you know what? When you retire, take the gold jackets off, take all the accolades, take it away. We're brothers, man. We played in this game together. A lot of us played together. We have to take care of each other. You know what I mean? Like, because once the league is done with you, man, they're pretty much done with you. And only players can take care of players, honestly. You know what I mean? And I reached out to a couple dudes when I was struggling with the transition and, making sure I wasn't the crazy one thinking I was the only one feeling like that. And, man, everybody's going through it. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for that though, man, honestly.
Well, we really appreciate you as always. Let's stay in touch. I'm going to see if I can hook you guys up. Your wife will probably love me.
Tell them don't worry about the pony ride, though. All right, you're jumping on the back.
Don't worry.
You just want to take a picture. That's it.
I know. But I'm going to look into it for you, and we'll be
Appreciate
in
it, man.
friends. But thank you for joining us as always.
Now, where you guys based? Where you guys
Out
at?
in Long
New Jersey
Island.
or New York?
Out in Long Island, man.
Oh, y'all in Long Island? Yeah, okay.
Long Island. 103.9 FM. We do a show every single Saturday on 103.9 FM, and we have our own network out here called the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and we have a couple of shows on our network. We've been around for since 2012. We're one of the first digital profile sports networks in the country. We'll never get credit for it, Bilal. We'll never get credit for it because everybody's digital now. Oh, I'm digital. Oh, I'm digital. So, but we've had a lot of great talent come through here, and we're growing, and eventually our show will hopefully be picked up on one of the biggest national networks in the country, because we like to have fun and we like to be different, and we're definitely unique, and we give a different outlook to sports radio. So
absolutely, I appreciate you guys for bringing me on, man. Honestly,
as always, man, and we'll get you on again, man. As always, love the Knick Cat. You're sporting the New York Jets. I mean, who's better than Bilal Powell? I mean, seriously.
And check out mine. I'm on the Believe Network, Jets podcast. I'm on twice a week. So if you want to subscribe, listen to what I have to say, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You try not to be negative, but can't be biased, but talking Jets, man.
Yeah. Well, guess what? If you ever want us to come on, we'll give you
absolutely.
a
I hold you to it.
All
Definitely
right.
got to get you on.
Anytime, man. Anytime you want us to, scream New York Jets, or, maybe I'll just wear a noose or something. I'm hanging from a tree, and I'll have a mic in my hand when I'm hanging.
Man,
After New
about
York
the Jets. Talk about the Jets, huh? That's how it makes you feel, man.
Dude, I've been a Jet fan since I was born. Okay, I was born green and white. Okay, gangrene. I mean, who names a team called gangrene? I'm getting gangrene all the way up my legs. Okay, this team makes me sick. Okay, and it just every single year it looks like we've got a year. We got this. We got that. We got great talent. We got this. We have all great young talent. We haven't had this forever, and now we have great talent, great defense, and it means absolutely nothing. Because the one position that means everything sucks. But that's been the New York Jets slogan forever. You were talking about quarterbacks that the Jets have drafted over the years. I can name every single one of them, and they all didn't pan out. So it's New York Jet. It's the what is it? New York Jet-esque. So
it's the New York Jets quarterback grave.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Hopefully, before the day I die, I get a chance to see a Super Bowl. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, and we'll be sitting there at the ticket day parade, and we'll all put our arms around each other and say, "Well, we won one. It'll be another 100 years until we win another."
Hey, I'll take it.
Bilal, thank you as always. We'll talk to you soon, man, and we'll be in touch. Definitely.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Bilal Powell, fantastic. As always, Speedy. He's a great get. And definitely check his show out on Believe Network. He is fantastic, and he knows the Jets, and he's one of my favorite players. He always was. He doesn't believe it. How many times do I tell you?
When I first came to this network, like, you and I had to stick up for him because we had so much other co-hosts that wasn't criticized.
I have loved Bilal Powell since he was drafted. I mean, I followed him in college. I always loved him. I was so happy when the Jets got him. And every Jet fan says, "You love Bilal Powell." Yes, I love Bilal Powell. He's fun to watch. He's exciting, and he has that person, and he looks the same, dude. He looks like he did when he was playing. He could probably be a pretty good running back right now on a lot of NFL teams.
I'll take him as a receiving back for the Giants right now.
The Giants could use it. That's for sure. Anyways, when we come back heating, we will be talking to Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster Oscar Budejen here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy. Speedy, go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Check out your local listings. Ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Yes, that was Bilal Powell. He was fantastic. And no, Drake, his wife will not jump on your back. But now, ladies and gentlemen, finally, he's been waiting calmly, collectively, and hopefully for a Super Bowl in the near future. We're now talking to Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster, our friend, Oscar Budejen. Oscar, what's up, bud? Did we freeze?
No, he's muted.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to help him right here. I'll help him. There you go. Oh, I'm going to help you. There you go.
Great catching up with you again. How's it going? I mean, one game away from the World Series again. But at least the last 2 years, we've been very, very close and winning big series. But unfortunately, the Phillies couldn't make it to the World Series. I think we could have won this year. We were very close. We had the team to do it. But, hey, credit to the Diamondbacks. They did it to us. They won 4 of the last 5 games to take us out. So credit to them.
I will say this, Oscar. If you look at Philadelphia sports, besides the hockey, you guys have been pretty damn good. Your basketball team, I mean, besides James Harden doing what he always does, cause trouble, I mean, your basketball team has been good for the last couple of years. You have one of the best young players I would say he's veteran now, but Joel Embiid, who wins an MVP last year for the first time in his career. You have a pretty good player over there. And then you have the Philadelphia Eagles that went to a Super Bowl and they came up short. And then you had the Philadelphia Phillies who went to the World Series last year and fell short this year in the NLCS. What is it over the last couple of years with these Philadelphia teams? What has stood out in your eyes as a broadcaster?
Well, it's the city always bring the passion. I mean, New York, Philly, I mean, we bring the passion. I mean, you have the passionate fans. Being in Citizens Bank Park in October, Red October, there's nothing like it. I mean, the passion from the first pitch to the last pitch, I mean, the fans bring it. And Eagles, I mean, in Philly, it's all about the Eagles, man. It's 365 days a year. Jalen Hurts, it's a special talent. He's a winner. He's won 25 of the last 27 regular season games. I mean, that says it all. I mean, he's a winner. Whatever you put him, I mean, he'll find a way to win a game. And look, it's between him, what the Phillies have done with Bryce Harper coming in and surrounding him with the right pitching. I mean, Zach Wheeler has been, in my opinion, one of the Cy Youngs. He should have been. The postseason Wheeler had was outstanding. Aaron Nola, which is a free agent, has done a tremendous job. So it's a combination of pitching and hitting, starting pitching, hitting, and also the bullpen, which we have revamped over the last couple of years, have made the Phillies the team it is. Jalen Hurts. And you have, I think, one of the beauties about the Eagles is the combination of both veterans as well as young talent. I mean, like a Jalen Carter, one of the best rookies in football this year from the defensive side. But you have the veterans from Jason Kelsey, to Lane Johnson, to Brandon Graham. I mean, they've been there. I mean, actually, our kicker has been there. He was at the Super Bowl in 2017. I mean, so there's the carry-on. So it's about, at the end of the day, it's about talent. I mean, talent, there's nothing that beat talents, and making sure that the managers that are there put them in the right position.
So the Phillies obviously up 3-2 and then losing the last two at home, which was definitely surprising. What do you think was the biggest issues that went wrong for them? I was saying throughout the playoffs, like they were relying on the home run. Do you think that was a problem, or do you think it was something else?
I think I got to give a lot of credit to the pitching for the Diamondbacks. They started, I mean, the Phillies started chasing too many pitches. And our hitting went completely cold in the last 5 games of that series. I think we hit something like 197. And you have guys like Nick Castellanos that have started very, very hot, but then won hitless over the last 23 at-bats, and then Trey Turner hitless over the last 14 at-bats, and we didn't hit the right time. I mean, and you had a rookie pitching the last game, and we couldn't get around him. I mean, and look, credit to them. I mean, but I think we just basically, our bats frozen. We started chasing too much. At the end of the day, we started chasing too much. And that's, I mean, a no-no in baseball. I mean, I think we had a 36% chase rate, and the numbers for Castellanos and Turner were very, very high during the postseason, or specifically during the last 5 games of the postseason.
We are talking to Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster Oscar Budejen. You know, Oscar, when you look at Philadelphia and the Phillies, I really thought going into the playoffs, they were going to make another run. I really thought they were going to the World Series. As a matter of fact, I had the Texas Rangers, and the Philadelphia Phillies before the playoffs started, going all the way to the World Series. I had Texas beating Philadelphia in 6 games, but I thought that this Philadelphia team was moving in the right direction, especially at the end of the season. They had the power numbers, and even in the first playoff series, Castellano was playing very well. Everything was moving very, very well for them offensively. And then all of a sudden, going into the NLCS, I don't know what happened to them, but they couldn't find the bats. They couldn't figure it out offensively. What happened in the NLCS?
I mean, basically, the key word is chasing. I mean, we started chasing pitchers at a strike zone. I think what the Diamondbacks started doing, it was trying to right. First of all, not pitching to Harper or Schwarber. They didn't want either Schwarber or Harper to beat them, so they were getting them on base. On a right-handed bats, I mean, like Castellanos, Turner, Romuto, they weren't getting the big hits at the right time, particularly in the last 5 games. Because before that, I mean, this team was scoring 6 runs a game. This team had scored, I think, 46 runs that we have scored. And I mean, we were, I mean, in the first 8 games, we had 46 runs. I mean, you just remember that. And we had, I mean, I think we had 19 home runs. I mean, this team was on fire. I mean, when we ended up the season, I mean, was on fire. We had the momentum. I was very concerned about the Atlanta series because of their hitting. Their hitting was out of this world, but our pitching went out of their way. I mean, I think our ERA in the postseason was something like 1.9 just before the last game. 1.9. That is insane. I mean, for a postseason, you're supposed to be facing the best hitters in baseball. And our team completely silenced the great hitting that Atlanta brought. And then they had problems with their pitchers, and that was it. I mean, we stole game 1. I think Thompson did an outstanding job. It was very interesting. On game 1, it was a mastermind, like a grandmaster. What both Rob Thompson and the coaching staff did, they realized that the Braves could not their slugging when they were facing pitches that were 97 miles an hour and above was like 150 points below when the pitches were 196 miles an hour and below. And what he did after 3 or 4 plus innings of Ranger Suarez, he brought all the great relievers that we had with the Heat, and the Braves couldn't do it, and we won that game 3-0. That was a mastermind. I mean, that game dictated that entire series. And we were playing in Atlanta. You steal that game, and then you basically take air out of the balloon, and the rest was history. I mean, we were able to beat Atlanta for the 2nd year in a row.
That is fascinating. That's why analytics matter in baseball. All you ex-Yankee players that like to criticize that. So I want to just ask you about some of the pending free agents. Obviously, Aaron Nola is the big one. The Phillies couldn't.
Do you always have to throw a curveball like that?
I don't know.
Hey, at least it wasn't. They didn't lose the season in the first 4 plays after Aaron Rodgers went down. I'm so sorry.
Oh, shots fired over here. Oscar, shots fired.
Oh man.
Oh.
Look, by the way, look, thinking I've done some Jets games before, and to me, I get Zach Wilson was the number 1 pick or whatever. It was our first round pick. Number 3 in the draft or number 2 in the draft. Carson Wentz is out there, and I know Carson Wentz is not the perfect quarterback, but I'm telling you, I've seen Zach Wilson throw the football. Put Carson Wentz out there. Believe me, you would have won at least 1 or 2 more games this year, at least with Carson Wentz. And believe me, we don't necessarily are fans of Carson Wentz anymore here, but I know what the guy's capable of doing, and believe me, he can do a lot better than Zach Wilson does.
No duh. I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks.
Errol would rather take Carson Wentz throwing left-handed than Zach Wilson.
I would rather take a peewee football player over Zach Wilson. Give me a break. And what the Jets are trying to sell to the fans, it's disgraceful.
But the why?
Pathetic.
My biggest question is the why. Why do you want to put yourself in that position?
Do you want me to give you the reason why?
Why?
Because Aaron Rodgers is not going to allow them to drop him, okay? Aaron Rodgers is behind this kid because he grew up in Aaron Rodgers' it's his favorite player, and Aaron Rodgers don't want to see him lose his job. Aaron Rodgers is the reason why they didn't bring Matt Ryan in out of retirement or even Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz goes to the LA Rams, and it makes me just disgusted. When you look at the Jets right now, who their backup quarterback, Tim Boyle, and they bring Trevor Siemian's backup. He's their triple backup. That guy hasn't played in the NFL in 2 years.
Absolutely.
It's disgraceful.
We know what he's capable of doing too, right?
You know what it is? It's Joe Douglas, because he knows the one mistake he made was drafting that idiot. It's a clown show over there. Rex Ryan, when he was there, everybody was talking about the clown show, and everybody says, "Oh, we beat the Eagles, and we should have beaten Kansas City." Good for you. I'm a Jet fan. Good for you all Jet fans. This team is horrible. They have a great defense. And
tremendous defense, man. I'll take that defense any day of the week.
Dude, they're the best defense in football right now. They're by far. If you look at what
I'll take the 49ers ahead of them, but I agree.
Right now, the Jets are ranked even in front of the 49ers. So,
but at the end of the day, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it's you saw what they did. What the 49ers did to the Jaguars over the weekend. They're very, very capable. I think their weakest link is the quarterback, by the way. The Eagles proved it last year. So, there's always a weak link. So you need to exploit that. So.
The Eagles didn't prove it. They hurt him.
I was waiting for Kyle Juszczyk to play quarterback at some point. So going back to the Phillies, I wanted to talk about the 2 free agents. Rhys Hoskins, obviously, off that injury last year. He didn't play last year. And then Aaron Nola, which they couldn't get a deal done at the beginning of the year. And he seemed he pitched well still amidst all that, but he seemed kind of frustrated. And the Phillies this offseason have been also rumored to go for Sonny Gray as well. What are your thoughts with some of the MLB free agency and how the Phillies should approach it?
Look, Dave Dombrowski, it's one of the best in the business. Howie Roseman and Dave Dombrowski as the GMs, I put them 1-2-1 as 2 of the best minds in football are in baseball. Dombrowski has taken a lot of teams to the World Series. He's been able to transform this team since Dombrowski took over. They re-signed Romuto. They went out and got Nick Castellanos. We went out and got Schwarber. And I think that the question is, we definitely try to sign Nola. I think the bigger question with Aaron is an outstanding guy. I would love to have Aaron Nola, but at the end of the day, it's finances. He after Garrett Cole, he's the second pitcher that have thrown the most innings in baseball. The question is how long that 31-year-old arm is going to last is a big question. And he wanted a 7-8 year deal in north of around $200 million. So I think it's a matter of you got to be financially judicious in the way you manage this. And at the same time, it's about projection. I mean, baseball, and let me put it this way, I trust Dombrowski 100%. I think the decision on Hoskins not coming back has to do more with defense, having a much better defense. Hoskins is not a very good first baseman. If you don't have a very good first baseman, and then Harper is hamper in the outfield, then why are you going to have two positions, and then you are going to be forced to either play Schwarber in the outfield that defensively has issues. So by putting Harper at first base, you can put Schwarber at DH, and that gives you a lot more flexibility. And you saw a big part of why the Phillies were able to make it as far as they did is because of having Johan Rojas in center field. I mean, he saved a lot of games. I mean, that guy is an outstanding center fielder. He still needs to learn. He's 22 years old. He was brought up from AA, and the kid needs to continue to evolve his hitting. I know he's working very hard in the Dominican Republic right now to continue to evolve his hitting, and it gives you the ability to have a March in left field, a March Pache platoon in left field, having Rojas in center field, and our defense basically took it to another level. And Castellanos, I got to give a lot of credit to Castellanos. Over the last 2 years, he has become a very good right fielder. He was not really good 2 years ago.
They're going to trade him this offseason. I've been hearing his name coming up in trades, and that's a big contract that they will try to move. And Hoskins, you mentioned Hoskins. I've been hearing stories that the Yankees might bring. I do not want to bring Hoskins.
Nor should you.
I do not want him there at first base.
Look, he's not a bad guy. He's just not a very good defensive player.
I know he's not a bad guy.
He's a great. I mean, with the community, he's outstanding. He's a good hitter. I mean, he will hit you 35 home runs a year. But what happens, particularly with the Phillies, that is so compromised with all these contracts. I mean, we're not moving Romuto. We're not moving Turner. We have two of the best young players in baseball in second baseman Stott, and you have Alec Baum at third base, and you have Schwarber, Castellanos. I mean, you have a lot of contracts already set up. You have a lot less flexibility to move the playing around. They might bring an outfielder. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring a right-handed outfielder that probably chases a little bit less than some of the other guys.
Right.
That, I mean, Castellanos is north of 30, I think it's 35%. The chase rate that he has is completely off. And we just need to be much more disciplined as hitters if we want to make it far, because that's what happened to us. I mean, we were chasing too many pitches, and it cost us the not going to the World Series.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster Oscar Budejen. You know, Oscar,
there's one thing. Let me mention one more thing. There is a possibility of trades with Dombrowski. There is a guy like Glasnow down in Tampa. His salary is going to go from $5 million to $25 million next year. He could be a potential trade target. We brought the name Sonny Gray has been brought up. I think also we need to look at Milwaukee and some of the pitchers they have. I mean, they have outstanding in Burns. They have outstanding pitching out there. They might not be able to pay them, and the Phillies could be a way out. So I would not rule out a possibility of a trade if the Nola decides not to sign. I mean, I wish Nola comes back. He's a really, really wonderful guy.
You know, you look at the Eagles right now, and there's nothing that really stands in front of them. I thought it was going to be Dallas, but Dallas is not anywhere close to what the Eagles are all around. They're just not. And in the NFC East, they're going to run away with the NFC East. You look at the conference, and the only two teams that I think they have to worry about are the Lions and the 49ers. That's it.
But you know why the Lions? Do you know why the Lions?
Oh, absolutely. I know why. Do you want me to tell you why?
Yeah, tell me why.
Their offensive line. Their offensive line is beastly. This is the best offensive line in football. And I know you like Campbell. I know everybody's going to say, it's the coach. It's the coach. No, it's because of this offensive line. They're protecting Jared Goff. They're giving Jared Goff a lot of time. They have guys like St. Brown. They have Williams. They have weapons. We have not seen this amount of weapons, especially an offensive line this good with the Lions for many, many years. I think this team is dangerous just because
Look at their schedule. The only reason, it's not that they're more talented than the 49ers or the Eagles. I think they're a good team, and they deserve to be where they are, but they have the easiest schedule in the world. I mean, the Eagles have to face Kansas City, Buffalo, the San Francisco 49ers, Dallas, and we go to Dallas, and we need to go.
Hold on, Oscar. Let's
Yes.
look at the Eagles over the last 9 weeks, okay? Their schedule's pretty damn easy. Now it's getting hard. Now
I'm not saying that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now comes the hardest part of our schedule.
Of course. Yes.
The Eagles are going to go probably 3-2. That is my guess that we're going to happen the next 2 games.
they're going to do better than that.
Okay, I think they might go 3-2. I mean, if we're 4-1, I can guarantee you we're probably going back to the Super Bowl because they're going to have to come through Philly. Now the Lions, they have to play Minnesota twice. They have to play Green Bay. I mean, they have the easy schedule. Look, we're going to Kansas City, then Buffalo is coming to Philly, San Francisco is coming to Philly. We got to go to Dallas, and then we're going to go to Seattle. Our schedule is very, very rough moving forward. Compared to the Lions, they have an easy schedule, and the difference is just 1 game. Now, we have a 2-game advantage over both the Cowboys as well as the 49ers. That's why our win a couple weeks ago against the Cowboys was huge. That was a huge, huge game. We needed to win that game no matter what because it gives us the flexibility to lose in Dallas and also continue to have an advantage because of the two game difference.
Don't worry, you guys get to play the Giants twice too, so you'll be okay.
No, and you're definitely right because if you look at the Lions' rest of their schedule, they have the Bears, the Packers, they have the Saints, they have the Bears again, they have the Broncos, they have Minnesota, and then they have the Cowboys. So it is an easy schedule. There's no question. But you have to give this team a credit. I mean,
I do. I give them credit. I mean, their offense is really good. I mean, they have
third in football. Third. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, their offense is really good. But look, let me put it this way. My worst case scenario is that we need to go up to the Lions. I mean, up to Detroit and go play the Lions. And I'll take Jalen Hurts in that game.
Well, and I love Jalen Hurts, and I don't know, Oscar, if you know that I am a Jet fan, but growing up, I am a Donovan McNabb fan. And my second team over the years, because the Jets could never win, I rooted for the Eagles. So I root for the Eagles every time they make the playoffs. I want to see them win, and I love Jalen Hurts. I vouched for Jalen Hurts when he was drafted in the second round, when everybody says, "What are you doing? You got Carson Wentz." And I said, Carson Wentz will not be there for the long haul. It will be Jalen Hurts' team in 2 or 3 years. And I was right about that. For everybody to say, "Oh, you're not right about this. You're not right about that." I was right about it. And I said he was going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. But Jalen Hurts this year, he's not having the season he had last year. He has not looked good in certain aspects of his game.
He hasn't run in the last 3 weeks because he's
hurt.
He's been hurt. But I mean, look, if you look at the numbers, there's a difference of only 1 point versus last year. We're averaging 28 points a game. Last year we averaged 29.1.
Well, they're running the ball better than they were last year.
Last year we were 4th in rushing. This year we're number 8.
I know that.
152 versus 130.
I know that. I know that. And I don't really, when I look at rushing and I look at the games, it's really the seeing game when I look at numbers when it comes to rushing. If I think that their running game is more dominant this year, and when it comes to the playoffs with Swift and with the weapons they have, and they could open up with the offensive line, I think they're more dangerous running the ball this year than they were last year. What worries me this year is I love A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is so special that they got so lucky to get somebody like that. It absolutely screwed everything up with Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee could be a different team if he was there. And I know Vrabel's probably kicking himself in the ass because you saw his face when they decided to trade him at the draft. So I understand that. But this team offensively, if they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, they have to run the ball.
Absolutely. And I think one of the keys is Jalen's ability to be healthy, to run the ball, particularly in the next 5 weeks, is going to be absolutely fundamental that we do that.
100%. If they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, which they can, and I think they're very big favorites to come out of the conference, because as much as I like the 49ers and they're fun to watch defensively, there's a lot of questions with Brock Purdy. There is. And Brock Purdy, I don't know if I trust him in an NFC title game again against this Eagles defense and how young they're going to come, and they're going to come up the middle. And this has been a problem for this offensive line, is defending up the gaps. They've had problems stopping good defenses up the gaps. And that's been a problem for the San Francisco 49ers for the last, I would say, year. So you're right. But I do believe if they're going to win this year, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. They have to run. And that's because if they're going to play a throwing game against Kansas City, or they're going to play a throwing game against these high-flying offenses, they're not going to win. It's just not their game.
I agree with you. And look, I don't disagree. I think a balanced offense is the key here. I mean, you need to be able to run and pass. But at the end of the day, I mean, the key is turnovers. We need to minimize the number of turnovers. The only game we've lost this year is because we turned the ball over 4 times.
I know.
We lost 4-0 against the Jets. And look, if we would have run the football and punted that football,
100%.
we would have won that game.
100%.
We would have won the game.
I'm not going to take that away from you. I believe it. Jason Kelsey said it best. He says, "Congratulations to the Jets, but we were our own worst enemy in this game." And the Jets know that.
Look at this stat. Jalen is 12-0 against winning teams in the last 12 games he's played against winning teams. I mean, that kid is a winner, man. He's a winner. He'll find a way to win.
I like Jalen Hurts too, so you're not selling me, buddy.
So what about the defensive side of the ball? They've had some issues with their secondary this year with a new defensive coordinator. Their pass rush is still tremendous. They do a great job, and their run defense has actually been better. Are you worried about them in the playoffs, potentially, that secondary?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had injuries. Avante Maddox, our slot cornerback, got injured, and he's out for the year. So we were able to bring Bradley Robbie. He only lasted a game and a half. He went on injured. He went to injury reserve. He didn't go into injury reserve. He's missed the last 3 games. He's going to play. He's going to go play back again this Monday against the Chiefs. And then also this is going to be the first time that we have our 5 best defensive backs outside of Maddox coming back and playing. So we're going to have Slay. We're going to have Bradbury. We're going to have Bradley Roby playing the slot. We're going to have Blankenship, and we're going to have the acquisition from Tennessee. Look, we got to do a much better job covering in the back. I mean, that also the linebackers are also it's going to be very important. I mean, you have a guy like Travis Kelce that we're playing this weekend. I mean, Morrow and Cunningham, the 2 linebackers, are going to have to play very, very well. Based on PFF, they're like number 12 and number 17 in coverage among like 78 linebackers, but they're going to have to play much better against Travis Kelce, or if not, they will eat us alive. I mean, that's the reality. And Andy Reid knows that. An interesting fact that I'll give you on Andy Reid.
Oh, let's hear
Andy Reid is 7-0 against either the Eagles or the Chiefs. When he was with the Eagles, he played the Chiefs 3 times. He beat them the 3 times, 3-0 with the Eagles. When he went to the Chiefs, the 4 times they faced the Eagles, they beat them 4 times. So the guy's 7-0 against either the Eagles or the Chiefs. Amazing.
Well, before we let you go, my friend, enjoy yourself at the game. And by the way, say hello to Taylor Swift for us and her family. I mean, they're going to be dancing over there and singing with the Kelsey brothers. I mean, this is great. This is great for football. Swift away, my friend. Swift
the only teams Jason Kelsey have not beaten in his career are the Chiefs and Andy Reid and the Seattle Seahawks. We're playing both of them in the next 5 weeks, so we're coming after them.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If Taylor Swift's there, maybe you get lucky, okay? Maybe I'd get lucky, too. I mean, I probably might want to snatch her away from Travis Kelce. All $1 billion of her.
Absolutely, man.
I love you, Oscar. But
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy the game, man. Keep up the good work. We'll get you on very, very soon, my friends.
Take it easy, guys. Best of luck. We'll catch up soon.
Oscar Budejen, as always, Philadelphia Eagles Spanish language broadcaster. He's fantastic, as always. And he's going to enjoy Taylor Swift. I know he is.
And it's also going to maybe join, he's going to enjoy Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and he's also going to join Jason Kelce and DeAndre Swift.
Come on. I mean, she's worth $1 billion. Who wouldn't love that? I mean, come on. I mean,
I guess not Bilal Powell because he didn't know any of the songs.
Well, he doesn't need to. I mean, I'll sing him a song for him.
Oh, really? All right. Next time we get him on the show, we're going to introduce instead of our musical background, we're going to introduce it with you singing instead.
I don't know if anybody wants to hear me sing.
I didn't say they did.
I'll scare people away. Let me tell you, it's not. I used to have a very good voice, by the way. I have a good radio voice, but as far as singing is concerned, my voice cracked. I don't have the voice I did when I was younger. I actually was offered to audition for the Miami Boys Choir when I was a kid.
Huh.
Yes. So
wow.
I actually had a very good voice. Now Brittany tells me I have the worst singing voice known to man.
Of course she does.
Whatever. I mean, she thinks she has the best of everything.
Oh, yeah. All right. Brittany, you going to come on the show and sing for us? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, man.
I'm sure Snug would love it.
She's having a heart attack right now, by the way. She's over there. She's doing the overnight. And she just texted me. She said they have me swinging around, and she's pissed off because she took off yesterday because she had a procedure done and she was in pain. So I feel bad for her. But you know what? And then she's looking for a new apartment. She found an apartment, and she's probably going to be moving into the new apartment in the new, I think December 15th. So this is her first apartment alone, which she's so excited for. So good for her. ESPN's Dan Graziano reports that the Cardinals may keep Kyler Murray beyond next season so he can be evaluated by the new coaching staff. The Athletic reports that many team executives do not see Kyler Murray's contract as a tradable one. Murray would cost $46 million if he is traded and $48 million in dead cap if he is cut by June 1st next season. Murray has a cap hit of over $40 million each of the next 5 seasons. The Cardinals currently hold the number 4 pick in the NFL draft following their win against the Falcons. Murray had 249 yards and 1 passing touchdown and had 33 yards rushing and 1 rushing touchdown in his first game back from his torn ACL. First of all, I just want to make this understandable. Yes, you heard it. Understandable for all you fans out there. If the Cardinals think that anybody would be interested in this contract, they're on drugs. Okay? That's one. Number 2, there is no way they're going to drop him because it will be over $40 million of dead cap space. There's no way they're doing that. So for all those fans out there to think that Kyler Murray will not be the starting quarterback for this team next year, shame on you. He will be here, and not here, but he will be there for multiple years. And I think he is the quarterback of the future of that organization. I know he spoke in a third person last year. I know he's been a laughing stock. I know he hasn't looked good like he did his first 2 seasons. This kid has all of everything you expect a quarterback to have. He can run, he can throw, he's accurate, he could do all that stuff. If he just stopped really sticking his head out there and making himself look like a jackass, I mean, this guy could be one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. And me and you, Speedy, believed that he was going to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the league before he opened his damn mouth. And then the fans took shots at him because he lost his first playoff game against the then again Super Bowl champions.
And a better team at the time, too, in the Rams. That was the first playoff game. That's pretty hard to do against a good coaching staff. But you look at the idea of a whole, too, of this is going into an Eagles type of scheme with Jonathan Gannon there now there. And you saw the RPO concepts they were doing with Josh Dobbs and was able to get him some great success at the beginning of the season, too. Like, this is an offense that Kyler Murray, if he recovers, to get to even half of that speed that he had still left, should be able to strive in athletically if that coaching staff that they did with Jalen Hurts could be able to implement those same kind of things. Now, the roster is still very far behind, obviously, and that's why maybe they're encouraged to trade the pick or draft somebody better, like an offensive lineman, maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's there at 4.
I would absolutely draft Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's there at 4. He could be the best player in this draft class.
Right. And like you said, there's too much dead money to be able to do that kind of thing. They're kind of in a similar situation to the Giants, probably even worse with the contract, better with the quarterback because he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, obviously. But you look at the situation that they would have to take on too. Like they have so much other things they have to worry about. So if he does succeed in this system, like why not keep going with him at this point?
This isn't good for the Bengals, by the way. They look like they're going to lose Joe Burrow for this game. He ran to the locker room. He hurt his wrist. I don't know how bad it is. It could be a torn ligament. If it's a torn ligament in his wrist, he could be out for a significant amount. Might be out for the rest of the season. And this could be the Bengals' chance to make the playoffs this year. And that could be very costly for the Bengals.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow has been injury prone since he's come into this league. He's had that ACL tear, then he came back, then he got hurt again. I mean, he has been, when he is in these games, he is as good as any quarterback in the NFL. It's just been a problem of staying healthy since he's come into the league. But as far as I'm concerned with the Kyler Murray thing, I don't see them drafting a quarterback at 4. If they were at the number 1 pick, it's going to be hard to pass that up.
Right, unless you get like a sweet trade, yeah.
Or they'll trade it and they'll still get Marvin Harrison Jr. Right. I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there at 4, which I think he will be, I think at 1, 2, and 3, all 3 teams need a quarterback. If it lands that it's going to be Chicago is going to draft Caleb Williams no matter what. And they're going to trade Justin Fields. And I think the Jets should absolutely jump on that if he becomes available. You don't have to give up much for him. Sit him behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or 2, and then you got yourself a future quarterback of your organization. Number 2 would be the Giants. They're drafting a quarterback. There's no question they're drafting a quarterback. I know I was talking to Mikey C, and he says it's either a quarterback or Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to be a quarterback. They're not going to be in the top 5 next year. And he says, well, why not? Because their schedule is going to be easier next year. They're in an easy conference. Their schedule is going to be harder this year because they're playing against the AFC East and they're playing against I forget what
they're NFC West.
The NFC
year.
West.
Next year it'll be NFC South, and it'll be the AFC North.
Which the North is good, but their schedule is going to favor them next year because they're going to probably be the worst team in their division. So they're going to have a much easier schedule next year than they did this year. So I know the Giant fans are not going to be happy about that, but it's the truth. So I do believe they're going to draft a quarterback. And at number 3, there's no doubt in my mind the Patriots are drafting a quarterback at number 3. So all 3 teams, it's going to go 1, 2, and 3 at quarterback. So yes, do I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be sitting there at 4? Oh, you best believe it. Damn right it's going to happen.
Right, and those quarterbacks right in that tier too, there's still some unknowns. Besides Williams and May, which I think everyone thinks is sure things, like everyone else still has those unknowns. I like Penix. There's other people that
I think Penix goes 3.
Yeah, I think he does too. But like there's always going to be some unknowns with those next set of quarterbacks too, that why not draft Marvin Harrison, who's pretty much the best receiver, surefire prospect we've seen in a while.
And Bo Nix could win the Heisman. So maybe it's Bo Nix. If he has a good combine and he wins the Heisman, I mean, maybe the Giants don't pass him up. I told Mikey C, I said, I know you like Drake May, but I don't know if May is going to be the guy. Dable's going to make the decision at the quarterback. He is going. Now, Penix, he likes Penix too, but I don't think Penix falls out of the top 5 either. I think it could be 4 quarterbacks drafted in a top 5. I mean, it's just Marvin Harrison Jr. going at 4 to the Arizona. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a quarterback class. I could see him going 1, 2, 3, and then 5. Okay, so actually, Chicago would probably train out of that pick because they're sitting at 5. They'll probably move up a little bit, let a team move up, and they'll gain another first round in the future, or maybe a couple of second rounds. So
right, depends on how much Chicago would want to keep the pick. Because they have a lot of areas to rebuild too.
But they can get more. And at number 5, if a team wants a quarterback and they're desperate enough to give up another first, I think they do it 100%. And I think Chicago will absolutely do that. So I think Chicago is still in a rebuilding stage. They're going to probably have a new coach next year. And it's going to be a different team moving forward. So there's a lot of questions. By the way, the Bengals are getting hurt all over the field. It's crazy what's going on right now. But so that's where we are with the Kyler Murray saga. Now the Draymond Green before we make our picks. Okay, so I've been waiting for this. Okay, and I the whole Shohei Ohtani thing. I know we got into that before.
We did it a little.
Well, we did it a little. And by the way, the Connor McDavid thing. Connor McDavid will not be traded. So for all you Edmonton Oilers fans out there that think that we have a chance to get Connor, it's not going to happen. Okay, they will do anything. They'll have Deshaun Watson come out and give him a massage or something like that. There's no way Connor McDavid is leaving the Edmonton Oilers. He's under contract for 3 years. They will hold on to him until his final year. If he doesn't want to be there, they'll get as much as they possibly can for him. This guy is an absolute stud. He's the best player in the league by a long shot. Why would they decide, hey, you know what, he's having a bad season, we'll just trade it because he's not happy?
It's not going to be Edmonton will riot if that happens.
That's not going to happen. We all know what happened when they decided to move Wayne Gretzky. It was an dude, it was like somebody died. It was like somebody died. I mean, the whole Edmonton, fan base absolutely fainted when that happened. So it's not going to happen. So for all you Edmonton Oilers fans, don't worry, relax, breathe for a second. Here, I'll do it for you. He's going nowhere. So don't worry about it. That's why I didn't want to go too deep into it. And thank you, Anthony, for calling the show. Draymond Green was ejected 2 minutes into the Warriors-Timberwolves matchup yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, after putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold and a headlock. Green was charged with a flagrant 2 foul, and both Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels were ejected as well. Green said he was just trying to keep the peace during the play. What are you, nuts? I mean, this is Green's 18th ejection in his career. The crew chief said that Gobert was not ejected because he was attempting to separate Thompson and McDaniels and was ruled to be a peacemaker. Both Draymond and Gobert got into a physical altercation with teammates last season as Draymond got into a fight with Jordan. I'm sorry, I said fight with Jordan Poole, and Gobert got into a fight with Kyle Anderson. I'm going to say this very, very nicely, okay? Because Draymond Green got 5 games. We had Tim Hardaway on the show yesterday, and he said 5 games is longer than he expected. Draymond Green has been ejected 18 times. 18 times in his career. He has tried to kill people on the court. He's tried to bust their balls in, okay? Not once, but twice in the same year, okay? He has stepped over people, started fights, protect his teammates, and that's fine. That's grand. And he says he was trying to be a peacemaker. How do you try to be a peacemaker when you put him in a rear naked chokehold and it looked like you were about to choke him to death? Okay. That is an absolute despicable. I don't even know what you call it. As far as I'm concerned, the NBA sitting there and saying, I'm only going to give him a 5-game suspension. This has been a huge problem for Draymond Green. This is a guy that's been really not a peacemaker. This guy has been a bully. He has been a bully on the court for years. He thinks that because he comes from the mean streets or wherever he comes from, Detroit, he can do whatever the hell he wants because he was a 2nd-round draft pick, because he was all defensive player of the year 3 or 4 times. This guy thinks he runs the league. He thinks that he could just go out there, knock somebody out, push a referee. We've seen him do that before. We've seen so many things happen over the last, 12, 13 years from Draymond Green that is just mind-boggling. Now, if Draymond Green played in the 90s, it would be different. If Draymond Green did that to Shaquille O'Neal would have killed him. He would have been dead. I mean, Charles Barkley tried to drop an elbow on Shaquille O'Neal. Does anybody remember that? I mean, there is no way in hell that Bill Laimbeer or Dennis Rodman would have let that happen if he tried to do that to them. I mean, I have never seen that before and then the NBA sit there and say, oh, it's okay. It's 5 games suspension. It's okay. We'll fine him $275,000. $275,000. That's like pocket money for this man. This guy has made over $200 million in his career. Do you really think $275,000 is bothering Draymond Green? That is despicable. The NBA should be ashamed of themselves. Again, Adam Silver should be fired. Take the Disney job, please. Take the damn Disney job. I don't want to see you there anymore. This is despicable. You let the players run the league. You let the players push people around. Your own referees are scared of Draymond Green. I mean, it's despicable. I have nothing to say about this. If I was Rudy Gobert, I would have hid behind Draymond Green's car, and when he tried to jump in his car, I would have hit him with a bat, okay? This guy is despicable. He's disgusting. And do yourself a favor, dude. Stop sending your and showing your private parts on social media, okay? Do something right. Be nice, okay? I mean, you have been nothing but a despicable Samaritan since you came into the league and since you've been drafted.
Yeah.
I'm done talking about this. And by the way, the NBA, if the NBA listen to this, listen to him here and hear me now. Forever hold your peace.
And you look at this Draymond Green thing with everything that's going on with 18
I was going to say
ejections.
something, but you go ahead.
I was going to. I'll let you have the grand finale.
Okay.
I'm going to let you have the grand finale. Draymond Green, with all his ejections in the past, and he's claiming peacemaking. Really? So you're trying to think that a chokehold of a 7-foot guy, half a foot taller than you, is wringing your guy's elbow around him, his arm around his neck is a peacemaking thing? I mean, seriously, maybe Draymond Green is CTE for all we know. We've accused all these other guys, Antonio Brown, etc., of having CTE. I don't know what Draymond Green is on. And then you're saying that Rudy Gobert should get suspended too because he tried to break up a fight and he's an instigator too? Seriously, dude, come on. You have to figure something out here. These are some of the worst off the court antics we've ever seen.
I'm going to say this one time, and then we're going to make our picks quickly, and then we're going to go. I'm going to say this very nicely for all you Golden State Warrior fans. Anybody that's ever bought a Draymond Green jersey, any one of you guys that wasted your money on a selfish, disgusting piece of dirt like Draymond Green, shame on you, okay? Because if you're going to sit here and think that this man has any respect for you, he doesn't even have respect for his peers. He fights with his own players. He fought with Poole. I've seen him argue with Steph Curry. I've seen him argue with Klay Thompson. This guy argue with his coaches. This guy don't like himself. Why are you buying his jersey? Okay. I see little kids infants wearing jerseys of Draymond Green. If he ever met you and he didn't like your parents, he'd probably palm you and throw you in the garbage. Okay. He is a despicable human being. Okay. And for the NBA to give him 5 games, shame on them. Okay. Adam Silver is despicable and he doesn't know how to control his own players. Good night. Anyways, let's go.
All right, so before we get to our picks, I didn't want to keep Bilal waiting. Wes actually texted some plays of his own as well. So he has Wisconsin covering -5.5 at home against Nebraska. He has Texas covering -7.5 on the road at Iowa State. He's got the Cleveland Browns on the money line against the Steelers, and he's got the Bears covering +10 on the road against the Lions. So disclaimer, I had the Ravens tonight in a
I have the Ravens too.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We'll start with the Cowboys and the Panthers. Cowboys 41.5, the over under. This is, I think, another blowout, just like the Giants game.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys money line. Yep.
All right, the Steelers and the Browns. I like the Browns on this one too. The Steelers, I don't know how much longer they can win ugly. Eventually, they're going to have to lose. I think the Browns get revenge.
I have the Steelers winning this game. I think the Steelers go into Cleveland and dominate defensively.
Alrighty. The Bears and the Lions. I do agree with you, Wes. I actually think the Bears will cover. The Lions, their 2 losses this year have been against running quarterbacks. Fields should be back, but the Lions will still win.
Oh, I have the Lions winning on the money line. Mm-hmm.
All right. The Chargers and the Packers. I got Green Bay in this one in a close one. I don't trust Jordan Love, but I also don't trust the Chargers defense.
I have the Chargers winning this game going into Green Bay. I think Justin Herbert is the better quarterback. I'm going to bet on Justin Herbert.
All right. The Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. I do think Kyler Murray does play well in this game. It'll keep the game close for a while. Texans pull away in the second half. They win by about 10.
CJ Stroud throws 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, dominates the game, and they win. Give me the Texans on a money line.
All right. The Titans at the Jaguars, 40.5.
This game will be a lot closer than people think.
Absolutely be a lot closer. They always play, these 2 teams always play better as the underdogs. Like the Jaguars are always pesky on the Titans and vice versa. So I think Jacksonville wins close, very low scoring.
Yeah, I got Jacksonville too on the money line.
All right. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins. It's been a good run, Antonio Pierce, but now you're going to get blown out. Give me Miami.
This game could go back and forth. I don't know. I want to take the Vegas Raiders because I think they're on a streak, and I think there's something about Antonio Pierce. The players are playing for him, and Josh Jacobs is a different running back right now. He's running the ball very well. No Josh McDaniels, no problem. but I'm going to go with the Dolphins on the money line.
All right, 36.5, the Giants at the Commanders. I do think the Giants will keep this game close. Their defense has played well in recent weeks. I think they covered the 8.5, but I'm still going to take Washington.
I think it's a blowout. Give me the Commanders.
All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers, 41.5. Tampa, I think, could keep this close in the first half with their defense because Niners' offense hasn't been great, but I do think the Niners will stretch the field eventually.
This will be a very fun game. Both defenses are very, very good. I think they're going to put pressure on both quarterbacks. Brock Purdy is going to make mistakes. He's not going to look as good as he did last week. I think Baker Mayfield will keep the Buccaneers in this game, and I think the wide receivers in this game on both sides of the ball are going to be very explosive. Give me the 49ers on the money line.
They also have a really good track record on Christian McCaffrey, too, the Buccaneers. All right, the Jets and the Bills.
I told you I'm not picking the Jets anymore.
I'm not either, not in this game. I think the Bills are due for redemption.
I'm going with the Bills. I cannot, and I know Bilal wants to believe it. I think all the Jet fans want to believe that if they win and the Miami Dolphins win, they're playing on Black Friday for the division. Not going to happen. I'm going to take the Bills on the money line.
All right, the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. Your friend Michael was very adamant that the Rams are going to potentially win this game. I could see it. I'm still going to take Seattle, especially Matthew Stafford's just coming back. I don't think they get swept by the Rams this season.
I'm going with Seattle. I love what I see with the Rams. I think they have some good players, but the Rams over the last couple of weeks have done nothing. And I have Seattle. They're going to be one of these favorites that could actually squeak by the 49ers and win the division. So give me Seattle on the money line.
All right, the Vikings and the Broncos. It is 40-42.
I think the Vikings are for real.
The Vikings are for real. I'm going to take them in this game. Their defense has actually played a lot better in recent weeks as well. Mekhi Blackman, we talk about a lot of the corners from this draft. He's actually been one of the most underrated. And Brian Flores has got something going. And the Broncos' offensive line struggle. Give me Minnesota.
I love what I see with Dobbs. I really do. Ever since the trade, I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be kicking themselves in the ass because this guy, you could have gotten at least a second or third round draft pick. I think he's the future Vikings quarterback. I think he takes over for Kirk Cousins. I think he's the real deal. I loved what I saw with him. He's just every single week you see a different type of quarterback in Dobbs. He's making every single throw too. Give me Dobbs and the Vikings on the money line.
All right, and Monday Night Football, the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Go ahead.
The Kelsey Bowl. This will be not as high scoring as the Super Bowl. I think both these defenses play a lot better. The Chiefs have had it this season. The Eagles still concern me in the slot, like Oscar was saying, Devontae Maddox still being hurt. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in a close one.
Oh, I'm going with the Eagles, baby. I don't care if the Swifties are there. I don't care if both parents are going to meet Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce and the family. I could give a crap. Okay. She can sing me a lullaby when the Eagles win. Kelce will be singing everybody a lullaby when they win. Give me the Eagles. They're going to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs because they're no good and they stink. I got the Eagles on the money line.
All righty.
Yes, sir. A lot of picks that we're completely different on this week, Speedy. I'm going to go with my gut here, and I think the Eagles will go 9-1, and the Chiefs are going to show why they're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. They're going to show why they're not even going to make the Super Bowl this year. So I think Taylor thinks, I'm dating Travis Kelce. I'm going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to hang out. Is she singing at the Super Bowl this year?
No.
Oh, I thought she was. Who was singing at the Super Bowl this year?
I thought it was a hip hop guy.
Is it? I don't know. I think it's somebody else. I thought it was Taylor Swift. Wasn't it Taylor Swift? I wasn't sure who was doing.
It's Usher, actually.
Usher. Okay, so maybe she'll go up there and sing with Usher. I don't know. There's no song.
That would be interesting. Maybe they're not revealing it to build it up as a surprise. I don't know.
Honestly, I think she thinks that they're going to the Super Bowl this year, and it'll be fun just hanging out at the Super Bowl with the Kelceys and stuff like that. I don't know how real this is. It looks like it's getting pretty real. I mean, I'm so surprised this is going as far as it has. I mean, could you imagine Travis Kelce marrying Taylor Swift and they have kids? I couldn't imagine it, but I mean, why not? I mean, it's Travis Kelce. I've been surprised many, many times with this man.
If that ends up happening and it's like somehow it's like streamed, if that's allowed, it'll be the largest watch thing.
Oh my God.
People will love it.
Dude, she's the biggest star in the world. I mean, she has the biggest fan base than anybody in the music world. I mean, little girls, big guys, young guys, older guys. You have 62-year-old grandpas singing her song at concerts. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I understand why Travis Kelce likes her. She looks like a sweet girl. She's pretty. I think she's a little too thin for me, but Nevertheless, I think I can see why Travis Kelce really likes her, and she's a billionaire. I mean, who wouldn't like a billionaire? I mean, she's worth about 70 million, and she's worth about $1 billion. So, I mean, he'll never have to worry about money again. But again, his New Heights show, and him and his brother's New Heights show, is like the #1 podcast in the country on I think it's iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I mean, they're going to get so many endorsements in the near future because both guys are going to retire. I mean, Jason is 36. They're going to be 37. And Travis is 34, going to be 35. How long are the Kelce brothers going to play? I think if Jason wins the Super Bowl this year, which quite possibly could happen, this is his final year. Okay. He was probably going to retire last year if they won the Super Bowl. He came back because he thought that this team was going to compete. So
the Eagles have also drafted 2 guards in the last 2 years that can also play center too. So I think they kind of know
he is still the best center in football. I mean, you can't even argue that. I mean, the Lions have a pretty good one. I mean, we'll see what Tittman turns out to be. We'll see what Schmidt turns out to be.
Garrett Bradbury in Minnesota.
Bradbury too. I mean, they have some good young centers in the league. We'll see how they, develop. But the best center in football is Jason Kelce. He still is, but if he wins the Super Bowl, why would he come back and play? I don't see it happen. And Travis might, and that's why he's trying to settle down with a woman. And I think this is, he sees his brother having 3 daughters and he loves being an uncle. I could see Travis Kelce settling down with Taylor. It's crazy. But again, I've seen crazier things. So, I mean, seriously, I'm still with Brittany. I mean, that's crazy. I'm just kidding, Britt. Just kidding, Britt.
Oh, Snug does not like you taking shots here.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Snug says Taylor Swift and I like to throw rocks at cars every Thursday morning. I don't know if Taylor Swift would like to throw rocks.
No, but I will say this. I don't like when the music industry mixes with professional sport, and I understand that Travis Kelce is helping football. I think this is helping the game of football because she's involved with it right now. And the NFL is growing because of it. I think there's more watched games for the Kansas City Chiefs because she's there. The only thing that bothers me here is it's sincere. That's it. That's it. And by the way, no, the Islanders haven't won. And by the way, Jeff, I don't know if because you don't listen to the show or you're just being a jackass. I said that the Islanders weren't going to be good this year. So for you to sit here and attack the Islanders, they weren't going to be good this year. So I said they have 2 of the best goaltenders in the league, but because they're averaging 40 to 45 shots a game, I don't expect this team to win anything, and they can't put the puck in the net. So, Jeff, you could say whatever you want. I don't know what you were doing. You were hanging out with Deshaun Watson and playing the circle jerk game with Snug. I don't know what the hell you guys were doing. You disappear and you show back up, but enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your weekend. For all the fans out there, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in throughout our streamlines all over the country. We're on 20 different streamlines. We really appreciate everything that you guys do, supporting what we do throughout the country. And listen to 103.9 FM this weekend for the Weekend Crunch with me and Speedy PD. The Islanders playing?
Yep.
So, as always, the Islanders will be doing the pregame show. So tune in, listen to us on the pregame Islanders show and obviously the Islander game and then our show. So tune in as always. And we'll be back next week on Wednesday. Who do we have next week?
The only one confirmed right now, 9:30, former Ravens cornerback on that Super Bowl championship team, the Billick one, Dwayne Starks.
Oh, I remember Dwayne. So Dwayne Starks next week. So tune in as always. Again, keep tuning in. If you missed any of the shows, go to Apple Podcast or Spotify. You can find us, The Sports Loudmouth. So check that out. If you want to find the show, even on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, you can go on that too, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. We're on every single stream if you missed any of the show. By the way, Jeff, just so you know, I don't even think you can drive 70 miles per hour. Okay. And we all know that Jeff, the one thing Jeff loves to do is sink himself in his little pool. So enjoy yourself. Hopefully you don't drown this weekend. And if you do, I'll buy you a casket. Anyways, I love you guys. Good night.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?